Well, good morning. As you can see, I am not Mayor Paulette Guajardo. She had a family emergency, and she will not be here today. So as Mayor Pro Tem, I'll be calling the meeting to order. The invocation will be given by Deacon Jesse Hinojosa of the Diocese of Corpus Christi.
Let us bow in prayer. Almighty and merciful Lord, may you send down your blessings upon all those gathered here today. We ask for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this council meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussions and allow us to grow closer as a group to nurture the bonds of this community. Fill us with your grace, Lord, as we make important decisions that will affect this city, our state, and country. And may we always be reminded that all we accomplish is for the greater glory of you and for the service of humanity. We ask this from you, O Lord. Amen.
Amen. The Pledge of Allegiance to the United States and Texas flag will be led by Pat Eldridge, who's our Police Management Services Director.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in honoring the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, Ms. Suerta, will you please call roll?
Mayor Paulette Guajardo is absent. Council members Roland Barrera.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gil Hernandez.
Here.
Michael Hunter.
Here.
Billy Lerma.
Here.
John Martinez.
Here.
Ben Molina.
Present.
Mike Pusley. Greg Smith.
Here.
City Manager Peter Zanoni.
Present.
City Attorney Miles Risley.
Here.
Mayor and Council, a quorum of the council and the required charter officers are present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Huerta. There was no proclamations this morning, so we'll move on to public comment.
So
Ms.
that will
Huerta?
begin at noon. So
Oh, that's right. It's at noon. All right, so we'll move on to a briefing from the South Texas Military Task Force, Colonel Joseph H. Parker, Commander, Corpus Christi Army Depot.
Hello, everyone. Colonel Jay Parker. Great to be here today. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I haven't met many of you. I think I've only met Ben about a year ago, so it's good to see everyone. And it's good to be here, a member of the community. As some of you may know, many of you do not. I was actually born here in Corpus Christi many years ago, back when most of us had more hair, and it was a little cooler out there. But the Mayor Pro Tem has great hair, and we'll leave it there. So. But no, it's good to be back home, and there's no other place that I personally would rather be. I ended up moving out west to Midland and Snyder, but it's great to be back home. I still have family members here, and once again, there's no better place to be. So, been here 1 year. It's great to see people here without masks on. COVID's generally behind us. We're moving forward, and the depot has a lot of work going on. As many of you know, the Army employs, just the Army portion employs about 1% of the city or the population of Corpus Christi. So 1%. 1 out of every 100 people you see out there is a Sea-Catter. And it's great to have the support from the City Council, the Mayor, and really the entire community. And we appreciate that because the workforce, we are part of the community. And without the community, we wouldn't have the workforce. And we wouldn't be able to do what we do from day in and day out. Now, some of the things that we've adjusted over time are our mission statement. And I think everyone has a mission statement. Many in the community do. I'm sure the city does. I think it's repairing potholes right now, and you guys are doing a great work. I appreciate that. But, our mission at Corpus Christi Army Depot is to be and continue to be the world's premier helicopter and component repair and remanufacturing facility. And that's really what we do. Basic. We're real short, real simple. Harken back to what the janitors in Houston said early in the Apollo program. What are you doing here today? Well, we're helping to put a man on the moon. And here at CCAD, what do? We keep the Army flying. We answer the nation's call, and we keep the Army flying. So that's what we do, and we can't do that without your help. We can't do that without the community's help, and we can't do that without our workforce. And it's very important that we continue to do that. Now, many of you know, you've read the news, financial times, budget considerations are tough. They're tough at the national level. They're tough within the Department of Defense, and they're tough within the United States Army. So we're going to have some a reduced production this year, next year, but we foresee late 23 and going into 24, production will return to normal, and then it will continue to go forward at high levels. We're not reducing the workforce. We're not getting smaller. We're setting the conditions so that we know we can grow in 24, 5, and 6. So those FYs are out there. Those fiscal years are in the future, but we know they're important and going through. So that's kind of where we are with the depot. As you know, things can change, but we're staying flexible, and we can't trade out our workforce. Because something that we have going on in the workforce is it takes a minimum of 6 months to get someone from the community ready to go and be a valuable member at just, an initial level. And there's some modernization. We're modernizing our techniques. Whether we do things one way or another, we're trying to find solutions. We're modernizing our technologies. So we have a lot of new things coming on board in the 2000s that weren't around in 1961. There we go. Thank you. In 1961 when we first started. So we just turned 60 years. So we got techniques there, technology. You see some of those. Platforms. We are the Army's manufacturer of the UH-60 Victor Black Hawk. That's an upgraded, digitized Black Hawk that's saving the Army and the taxpayers really anywhere from $8 to $12 million a copy by making a fully digitized cockpit with software that the Army owns. So we don't have to go to another organization to get a little bit of change. Hey, we want this bug to do this. Instead of that, we can do it ourselves. So those are some of the things we're doing. You see some of the other ones going on. We're modernizing our facilities. You see lots of construction going out there. We have brand new buildings going up, and we'll continue to have buildings going up probably for the next 15 to 25 years as we fully modernize and go into the future. And I can easily see out to 2070 that we're going to have a workload. So long time after I'm gone, the depot will continue. Now, the only thing I want to really talk about is the skilled labor, and I hit on that one. And that's from the workforce. So there are things that we're doing that we've done no differently than what we did in 1961 when we stood up. But we're doing a lot of new things, and we need a lot of the younger people or even older people with new skills to come in. And we're partnering with Del Mar and other organizations to ensure that the people, the workforce, have the tools. And that's where we need the help from the city and the community to ensure people are skilled, they're up with the latest technology, they're computer savvy, they can do many other operations as we're growing. Because although we're bringing in some robotics and other operations, we will have humans do what humans have to do. The human capital won't change. It'll just what they're focused doing will change. So we're hiring the right ones, we're training, we're retraining, and then we're transitioning to different locales, so where the human capital is needed best. So we appreciate that, and knowing that we're getting better every day is our mantra and our goal, and we have to answer the nation's call and keep the Army flying. And we know we can't do that without you and without the community, and we really appreciate that. So with that, that kind of ends my brief. I'm open to any questions from the council. If anyone has those, I'll gladly take them. And then I think I just have one other thing to say before I wrap up.
Council members, any questions?
No, thanks.
No
All right.
questions.
Anybody out here ask questions?
No.
I don't know how it goes. First time here, so.
No, Colonel, we appreciate you coming out here and giving us a presentation. CCAD is very much a partner, and we appreciate you being here, as well as the Navy. Myself, as a former naval officer, I appreciate it. Thank you for dressing in your dress blues there.
You're welcome. And hey, it's perfect, Mayor Pro Temp, that you brought that up, because we are a tenant on the Navy base. I am a 1997 graduate of West Point. We beat Navy 4 years in a row. I
Oh,
was
okay.
the kicker on the.
I know where
95.
Snyder's at, so.
I was the kicker on the 95 and 96 team, so I got to personally help beat Navy 2 years in a row. And since this is on video forever and it's in the record, I'll leave everyone
Okay.
with a good beat Navy. So thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. All right, item H, city manager's comments, an update.
Okay. Good morning, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council. Thank you. We do have a couple items to discuss with the council and the community this morning. I'm going to speak, and we have two guest speakers as well. The first four items will deal with summer fun, Memorial Day weekend recap, and a health and fitness activity that we have here in town, Duke It Out Boxing. And then we're going to turn to more serious matters, talking about hurricane preparedness, our Litter Critter program, and then a good news one, which is the end to our Stage 1 drought response that we're in. So let me begin by Memorial Day recap. We know that wasn't too long ago, and in the weeks leading up to Memorial Day, we met with the leadership teams in several of our departments, including our police department, public works, parks and recreations, and outside partner agencies such as CVB, our downtown management district, and TxDOT to discuss protocols for the big influx of visitors in our own selves that were heading to the beach. And I'll provide you a quick recap, and then Brett Odding, our CVB director, will talk to us about the impact to our tourism industry because of that holiday weekend and what the projection is for the summer. We want to focus on these lessons learned because Memorial Day was one of several holidays, and the more we learn from how we behave to the events, the more we can be prepared to be even a better destination. And so in part, that's why we're talking to you about this today. So our Parks and Recreation Department focuses on a lot of things, but one of their primary measures is safety on our Gulf and Bay beaches. To prepare for the Memorial Day in the summer, they put out for the first time 9 brand new lifeguard stands that City Council approved last year. These are state-of-the-art lifeguard stands. There's one at McGee Beach as well that you may see driving down Ocean and Shoreline Drive. The lifeguards operate from 11:30 in the morning till 6 p.m. in those lifeguard stands. And then they have mobile units that operate from 11 to 8 p.m. And they did that during the Memorial Day weekend as their first beginning part of the summer. A good news point is there were no drownings during the weekend, and that's we don't want to be petty about that, but every day is a chance for a drowning, and we don't want that to happen. And those lifeguards do a great job. In fact, they're going to come see the City Council next week so we can acknowledge the hard work that they do. In addition to the lifeguard stands, the city deployed electronic message boards at every beach entrance from the 29th of May to June 1. And the boards announced the daily status of the beach flag warning system and surf conditions. So that was something new we did this year. Before you even got to the beach, you could see that message about, hey, what's the surf conditions anyway? And we're working on having our beach flag warning system a little more easier to read and understand. Today there's a lot of words, and in fact the staff made some real nice t-shirts that just make it real simple with the colors, and the lifeguards wear those, and you'll see new signage coming up as the summer progresses. There was a lot of trash that was removed by our visiting public, and Parks and Rec helped to do that. So there were 20 tons of trash taken off the beach from the weekend. That equates to 40,000 pounds. Try to put it into context. We're not too sure what a ton is, but. So Parks did a great job. Public Works did a real good job managing the traffic flow. We know that working with the community and the council representatives from the district, they made adjustments to Aquarius Street and Park Road 22. The community's familiar with this, and we've worked closely with them. We put what we call a force green on that Park Road 22 Aquarius light, so traffic coming over the bridge can constantly go straight or go to turn on 361. The median at that intersection of Park Road 22 and Aquarius was closed to traffic to minimize any type of accidents that would happen, especially from left turn lanes. And we provided message boards as well along the roadways, not only leading into the beach, but as you headed towards the beach, message boards that were put out by the city and TxDOT to talk about delays and other incidences that the traveling public should be aware about. Our police department did a great job helping us. They had their mobile command center down there, and they help with traffic operations and detours as well. So we sent the council status reports, and folks may have seen them out there, but the 5-day, when you take Thursday through Monday, 24-hour average of the amount of vehicles crossing the JFK Causeway going southbound, the 5-day average was 18,500 people over a 24-hour period every day. So pretty close to 20,000 persons going over that causeway. Had we not did what we did and what we'll continue to do with traffic control adjustments, communication to the community that lives there, and then our beach operations, it would have been a pretty harrowed sight, but it wasn't because of some of the protocols that we put in place. So we're thankful for the staff for their hard work. We want to acknowledge them today, those departments I mentioned. And at this point, we want to have Brett Otting come up and talk to us a little bit about the economic impact. And this is a good barometer. Brett was telling me this morning about what we're going to see this summer, so we want to hear, should we expect more of this, Brett?
Thanks, Peter. Morning, everyone. Brett Otting, President and CEO of Visit Corpus Christi. Before I get started with some slides, I want to talk about what happened on Memorial Day weekend. You saw that there was a high tide on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. On Saturday, it rained considerably, so there wasn't actually that much traffic going out there up until afternoon. With that said, first slide, please. You will see that we had a very good weekend. Next slide. Thank you. Thank you. The consensus among longtime islanders seems to be that we have never seen as many people on our beaches as we saw last weekend, from Dale Rankin with the Island Moon. Next slide. This past Memorial Day weekend was our best ever. Steve Banta, Executive Director at the Lexington. Next slide. Next. Tom Schmid from the aquarium. It's great to see our local economy rebounding strongly after such a challenging year. Leisure and travel is a major driver of our economy, and I'm excited for all of our hospitality partners. I think everyone is going to have a terrific summer. The Texas State Aquarium broke an all-time record for a weekend. They sent a press release out over the weekend as well. They had 16,400 people visit the aquarium over that weekend. What is even more amazing than that is the weekend that they broke was from 2017 when the Caribbean Journey opened. So they broke a record from the time when the aquarium essentially doubled in size. That is very amazing to me. It was very busy. Next slide, please. Two great restaurants, two great tourist restaurants in the city. Richard Lomax with Water Street Oyster Bar said that they beat their Memorial Day 2019 record, which is amazing considering that, as we all know, because we've seen it in the news, and I've talked about it up here a couple weeks ago, the hiring issues that restaurants are having right now. About a third of Water Street was closed over the weekend just because Richard is still having trouble hiring staff. So the whole top of Water Street Oyster Bar was closed down. With that said, they still had more business than what they did in 2019 at Water Street. So that's a great win for them. And then Doc's, Fred Soward, owner of Doc's Seafood, told me that he walked out there in the middle of the afternoon on Saturday when they were on a 3-hour wait, and he has never seen so many cars from outside of the state of Texas in his parking lot at one time. Next slide. Jeremy Clayton, he's been a great partner of ours. He is the managing partner for Padre Escapes Vacation Rentals. They own and manage roughly 240 vacation rentals on the island. They were 100% booked. Their average rental rate for the stay for the weekend was $195 more per condo than 2019. Another number that's not on here, their average rate that they're booking for right now for the month of July, all the bookings that they have currently in July are $138 higher than the July in 2019. So the demand is definitely there. Next slide. So this is a historical occupancy from 2018 through 2021. You see that Sunday's not on here yet because we don't receive that until tomorrow. So you can see how the hotel occupancy was compared to the last 3 years. Now, what might stick out to you is that the 2021 numbers are slightly lower than the past, but what that does not take into into account was that back in 2019, there weren't as many hotels available. We've had some new hotels open. We've had some new hotels or some existing hotels be renovated that are open as well. So we have a bigger supply of hotel rooms, and we almost still had the same occupancy level, which is, again, proof that we had more people in town than what we have in the past. Next slide. This graph here is from the governor's economic impact of tourism study that was conducted in 2019. This shows the average length that an overnight visitor will stay, the 2.58 nights. It also shows the day trip. So 52% of all visitors that come to Corpus Christi don't stay the night. They drive in for the day and they leave. If you quantify Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Memorial Day, and then you also take into account the number of people that were staying in hotels and short-term rentals, estimate very conservatively, we had over 150,000 different individuals in Corpus Christi over Memorial Day weekend. Next slide. We created a pass that we sell for our attractions. 100% of the proceeds go back to the attractions. We started this a year ago, but over Memorial Day weekend, we sold 127 of those passes. It's a slight discount for the attractions, and 127 of those over the weekend, an additional 82 were sold ahead of time for a grand total of 2,300 plus about 1,300 that were sold the day of. So we brought in about $3,600 to the attractions over the weekend by selling these passes to visitors. We are 13 months in right now since we started this. We started last May. We've brought in $61,000 to the attractions in the last 12 months that are being sold off of our website to visitors. Next slide. We talked last month about different advertisements to different strategic markets. These are electronic billboards in San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, and Austin. These started, we feel like these are helping bring people here. This is definitely increasing the demand to Corpus Christi. We're advertising in places we've never advertised before. Each of them are unique to the demographic makeup and the type of individual that would travel from those city. Next slide, please. This is a app ad. I think a couple weeks ago I mentioned if you are not in Nueces County and you type in virtually any variation of Corpus Christi, you're going to be caught on our ads and see ads over and over of Corpus Christi. These are some good examples of what those ads will look like when they pop up on your phone. Next slide. And then lastly, this is not Memorial Day, but this is, again, another invitation. On July 9th at the Corpus Christi Hooks game at Whataburger Field, we're having Gulf Coast Capital Night. We are unveiling a community pride campaign. We're working with the mayor on that. It's going to be a great time. Invitations are going out soon, I believe, as elected officials, and some city staff already have that on your calendar, so we hope to see you there. There's a lot more info to follow here in the next 2 weeks regarding that night. It should be a very fun night. And I will stand for any questions.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Brett, for the great report. You talked about the occupancy. Do you have an idea on ADRs yet, how we did? I know you mentioned on condos they were up.
It is higher. It is higher as well. Yeah, okay. I can send that to you. Yeah, it is above 2019 levels as well.
Okay, yeah. That's really what the hoteliers look at, isn't it?
We are, we are having meetings with hoteliers often, whether virtually or in person with some of them. We have created a forecasting model. I think I showed a little bit of that last time I was up here. We continue to get more detailed on that, and we're showing them some good past numbers as well as what our other cities around the region that we're competing with for leisure customers are charging as well. And we're just continuing to try to educate them to ensure that they're charging the right rates that they should be.
And what impact do you see on hot tax? Is this more than you projected? I know you work closely with staff on your hot tax projections.
April is the last number that we have in, and April was up, so we are ahead of budget right now. May will be up considerably as well, probably the biggest month that we'll have this year compared to 2020 for sure. But right now we are trending ahead versus 2019 for the year when it comes to hotel occupancy and visitation. So I do expect that hot tax will be at a record level as well.
Great. Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Councilman Pusley.
Yeah, thanks, Brett. Great report, and it's wonderful to see our tourism industry rebounding from the COVID year of 2020, and great thanks to the staff and the city and Peter, all the work that y'all did in trying to keep the traffic flowing. That was, we had, all of us get lots of phone calls about that traffic on weekends, especially holiday weekends, and so it's great that we were able to do that. I do want to ask one favor, Brett. The city of Corpus Christi owns a park at Lake Corpus Christi, and that park is nowhere near what Padre Island does in the form of business or tourism, but it is an important asset to this city, or at least I feel like that it is. And in the future, some information about how that park is doing and the revenue that it's generating for this city, because the taxpayers support that park, and I think we owe it to them to give a report on how well it is or isn't doing. So I see lots of traffic there on weekends, and especially holiday weekends, and we need not ignore that asset. We need to make sure that the council's aware of what we're doing there.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. One last question. On the occupancy, was that also taking into consideration short-term rentals?
That number was for occupancy of hotels. Short-term rentals, it takes about 30 days for us to get those numbers.
Okay.
So those were just hotels.
All right. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Zanoni, it's going to be noon right now, so we're going to go to, we're going to interrupt your comments and go to public comments. So, Ms. Huerta, can you please?
Yes, sir. So I'm City Secretary Rebecca Huerta. I'll be conducting the public comment period today. Before we begin, City Attorney Miles Risley will briefly review certain portions of the City Council meeting rules of decorum. So, Mr. Risley.
Yes. Citizens are authorized and encouraged to present their views to the council on city-related matters. However, such should be done in a factual, precise presentation, and questions of council or staff are inappropriate. Loud, boisterous, profane, or obscene language or behavior is not allowed.
Thank you, Mr. Risley. So I'll be calling you in the order in which you signed the public comment sheet. I'd like to remind everyone that a recording is made of the meeting, so please speak into the microphone located at the podium and state your name and address. If you choose to speak during the public comment period regarding an item on the agenda, you may do so. When the council is considering the item, you will not be allowed to speak again. And citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes. On the podium, you'll see a timer underneath the base of the microphone. It will let you know exactly how much time you have left to speak. And once your time is up, a buzzer will go off, at which time we would appreciate the conclusion of your comments. So with that, we'll begin public comment. The first person on the list is James Cass.
You're like I'm coming down to a game show. Hello, my name is James Cass, 1636 Graham Road. I actually have a number of people signed up on the speaker list so they can allocate more time to me. And there are about be 2 or 3 after me that will have their 3 minutes. I'm here to speak in opposition to the current 3 plans of the Smith Estate rezoning plat. And honestly, kindly, let me just say, my mother would have turned 100 years old last week, and our mothers used to telephone each other in order to talk about things in the neighborhood, what's going on. And they didn't meet at the fence, I think, because of the javelina, the coyotes, the snakes, the mosquitoes. And I'm sorry I never reached out to you, and we never established a relationship that would have allowed us to have this kind of communication before I got the public notice. Certainly the Smith Estate is entitled to develop that property. It's been zoned RE for 60 years. Some of the spokesmen for the applicant are suggesting that because it's been zoned RE for 60 years, that it's due a radical change. No, that's a solid reason to leave it RE or to at least have some public input into how it should be developed. I'm going to kind of be all over the board on you because I'm kind of going without my notes and just speaking from the heart. When I moved into that land 50 years ago, my father, a retired Navy officer with access to some information that most of us wouldn't have, told me during the Cold War, the biggest danger to us was the pipeline going across that property. That's 50 years ago. The pipe has failed. Now, staff, and I've got to appreciate staff, they've been pleasant and professional. I don't want to sound mean when I say staff. Staff has been very helpful, but their observation is that that's typically addressed during platting. But if the pipeline is such a serious matter, to preclude it from becoming from leaving RE and becoming townhomes, or they started with the 3-story apartments, then it's why waste the time trying to zone it for something that it's not compatible with? I think that pipeline needs to be looked at closer before a decision's made on the zoning. Oh, I hate to refer to my notes because I know all this. Well, let me hit you guys first with the most important thing in case we do run out of time. Section 3.1.7 of the Unified Development Code. It's real clear to me that the applicant has failed to meet their obligation under the public notice requirements. We can't have this public meeting today. They have yet to post at the street the fact that they want to have this meeting today. May I continue?
Mayor Pro Tem?
Now, you had mentioned early on that you had asked some other people that had come
Somebody in
in.
my group who is signed who's not going to speak, raise their hand. Thank you. That's
Now,
Miles.
just
You can take
just
Miles'
give
name
me
off.
a second. Ms. Huerta, is that, I don't think that's allowed. I think it's just one per person, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
but we
So,
do
sir,
have them on the list.
You had your 3 minutes. We'll go to the next person. Thank you.
Larry Ludka?
Hope the 3 minutes doesn't include the time it takes me to get here and get out. Thank you. Okay. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council.
Mr. Ludka, can you put the microphone closer to you?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
My name is Larry Ludka. I reside at 1631 Graham Road, which is obviously on Graham Road on the tract of land that is between Flower Bluff Drive and the Oso. And there are 18 other families that live in that area. It's immediately south of the property that is subject to rezoning. That is item 13 on your agenda for today. I taught real estate law at Del Mar, and one of the things I taught my students about zoning was the purpose of zoning is there be compatibility to adjoining properties. And the reason for that, there was a case out of Houston where they didn't have zoning, and a multi-million-dollar house had a hog rendering plant built right next to it. What we're facing here today with this rezoning request is they want to go from RE to R6/SP. And this is being requested by an out-of-town developer who refused to even meet with all of the property owners there when we attempted to talk to him about what he was developing or they were developing. It's some kind of rental duplex townhomes is what they're proposing, 200 plus of them. If you look at all the adjoining properties, the ones closest to this tract on Compton Road, on where we live on Graham Road, in Cantera, on the Cornerstone properties, there are no multifamilies there. If you go all the way down Flower Bluff Drive to Yorktown, between South Padre Island Drive and Yorktown, go over to Russia, there are no multifamily properties there. There has never been. the development scheme that is set forth, has been planned for Flower Bluff future development, shows that the future plan says that all the multifamily housing is to be in the zone where it is now, between Waldron Road and Laguna Shores. This is totally incompatible with the existing properties. And to quote the SP designation from the city's definition of zoning, it says, I quote, that the change must be compatible with adjacent properties and consistent with the character of the neighborhood. This zoning change is neither one of these. That property needs to be rezoned for single family, which is compatible with our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Letka.
Next is Susan Letka.
Hi, I'm Susan Ledka, 1631 Graham Road. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Our neighborhood, as Larry described, is small, only 19 homes, but it's a vibrant neighborhood. If old folks move out to downsize, young folks move in with children, and they improve the property. I met our newest neighbor last Saturday. His name is Dennis. He's got a wife, 2 small kids, and 1 on the way. He was totally shocked when I told him about the proposed development. And he said, but I've been 2 months trying to buy this house, and I've seen no signs posted. They would be posted along Flower Bluff Drive. I said, well, they're not. He was further unhappy because he had a similar situation twice when he lived 10 years in Dallas, once in Plano and Richardson. And he described those as not a good livability outcome once the multifamily came in next to their single-family development. He stated further that they probably would not have chosen the Graham Road property had he seen a rezoning sign. He would have investigated and probably stayed away from it. That doesn't bode well for our neighborhood. Now, as far as zoning, nobody has seen a sign posted on Flower Bluff Drive, which is more than 600 feet. I haven't, my neighbors haven't, my friends haven't. However, I did find a little zoning sign posted along the access road next to a big Cravey real estate sign on a piece of property next to Kendallwood Suites. And it was laying down in the grass, but had it been standing up, I would have assumed that it was for the Cravey property. I would not have assumed it was for the Smith property, which only is a small dirt track road back to the farmhouse there. Conclusion, the property was not properly posted. Finally, their development plan, the last one that we've seen, and nobody's ever really clued in the neighbors, show a buffer of residential homes to buffer their R22 homes along the Oso. We would like to be afforded that same respect. I don't feel like a drainage ditch and a road are a proper buffer. We need an area of residential single-family homes to the southern part of their development to buffer our already existing residential estate property homes that have been there for many years and has been a successful development. Certainly nobody is telling the Smiths not to develop it, but they should stick with the complexity of the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Letka.
Next is Amrita Wrights.
Good afternoon. And I would ask that you please don't doodle while I'm speaking to you, and please pay attention. I am new to your city. I was very happy to move here to Corpus Christi. I looked up and down the coast to purchase property, and I see a lot of potential for this city. When I bought this property, I was not informed that they wanted to put 1,100 people up against me. I have 5 acres. Then it went down to 600, now it's down to 200, and the Navy is finally happy with 200 units going in and a couple residential properties. There's no traffic study done. There was no rezoning sign put up for anyone to know what's going on. This is all being done underhanded. Greg Smith is not even present for this hearing. There's a lot more that needs to be looked at, and I don't think this should be voted on. I think traffic needs to be studied. Where are they going to allow all of these vehicles to exit? How are emergency vehicles going to get in and out? Our road has never been repaved since the Civil War. There's so much more. Evan Reese will not be attending this meeting, by the way. You can scratch him off. I feel this is a very underhanded situation. It's very disturbing. I don't mind that you develop your property, and I think Mr. Smith and their estate have the right to develop, but 3 houses per acre maximum should be allowed, and that would be agreeable to the Navy with their flight zone, their crash area. It's 50 feet within their crash area. Their aircraft are getting larger, and they will need a larger area soon to come. So I would like you all to reconsider before you make a decision. And thank you for paying attention.
Thank you, Ms. Reese.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Jack Gordy?
Yes, my name is Jack Gordy, and I live at 4118 Bray Drive. And I'm here to speak about the same thing that I talk about quite often. All of you sitting up there got a letter about illegal signs. There's illegal signs all over this city that's violating the city ordinance, and there's many signs that's violating the federal law, state law, and the city ordinance. There's signs out there that's been there for 8 months or a year that's in the right-of-way. One of them says, "We buy cars," and they're all over the city. And I ask every one of you sitting up there to use the car allowance that us taxpayers are giving you and check your districts for the violations and insist that the violations be corrected. And that's another violation is in August of 2018, I gave the city manager and the city attorney a list of buildings, businesses, and homes without address numbers. And there's a city ordinance that says every building in the city must have an address number. The city manager and the city attorney got a list of over 200 violations, and nothing has been done, and they got the list in August of 2018. This city council needs to get involved and make sure that the city is obeying the city ordinance and the federal law and the state law. To me, it's a sign that somebody don't care when you ignore all that stuff. And that's like this lawsuit. This is the lawsuit, a copy of the lawsuit that the federal government filed against the city of Corpus Christi in September of last year. The federal government filed a $200 million lawsuit, $200 million, against the city of Corpus Christi. They've been sending the city violations since March of 2004. They sent the city over 200 violations, and I got a list, over 200 violations. The city ignored and did not respond to not one of the violations from the federal government. They just ignored them. That's why September the 25th, the federal government filed a lawsuit. And I asked every one of the council members in the letter I sent to get a copy of the lawsuit and ask a question. How can the city...
Mr. Gordy, thank you.
ignore all those violations.
Thank you.
It's not acceptable.
Next on the list is Susie Luna Saldana.
Yep.
Susie Luna Saldana, 4710 Hackle. I told you I was going to come back to talk to you as a council. I'm sorry the mayor is not here, because I think that looking over the past year when we have not been able to be in council with you, there's some things that have really bothered me. And one of them is that there seems to have been forgotten the fact that this city is a city run by the city manager, not the council. The council is here to set policy for him to follow, but you don't run the everyday actions of the city. And that is what it looked like to me. We have a great city manager, as far as I'm concerned, who's quite capable of doing the job, or you wouldn't have hired him. He has done a fantastic job as far as I'm concerned, and the citizens of Corpus Christi are concerned. So I'm asking you all, as a council, to take a little refresher as to what your job duties are. Your job duties are to set policy, to set goals, and to have them achieved by your city manager, not for you to run them. I ask you to take a look at those things. Those are important to the city. They're important to the citizens. And believe it or not, we keep track of you. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ms. Saldana.
Miles Herndon.
Ms. Huerta, just for the record, Mr. Smith is recusing himself from item number 13, so when he gets up, that's why he's leaving
Yes,
for
sir.
those specific items. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Herndon? No? Okay. Kathleen? Oh, there you, okay, very good.
Hello, y'all. So my name is Captain Miles Herndon. I live at 1659 Graham Road, and I am here to oppose the rezoning of the Smith property into anything other than residential. Personally, I think that 3 properties per acre would be superfluous. I think that all of the developments past, all of the first 3 developments past Walmart are all acreage properties. We've all got 1 acre, 2 acres, 5 acres. Putting in townhomes across the street it's a square peg in a round hole. I mean, so anyway, that's what I want to say. Just want to voice that.
Thank you, Mr. Herndon.
Kathleen Herndon? Oh, okay.
Kathleen Herndon, 1659 Graham Road. While I detest public speaking, I believe that you fight for what you love, and we love our home and community. My parents were teachers, my mother with the Flower Bluff School District for over 30 years. My girls will be 3rd-generation Flower Bluff residents and currently enrolled in the Median Junior High School. When my parents purchased the undeveloped property, they didn't have the funds to pay someone to clear it, so we did the work ourselves. For weeks that turned into months, we spent our weekends, my father with a chainsaw and my brother and I dragging trees to the ditch. Every residence that I have ever purchased has been in Flower Bluff. Despite the fact that other Corpus Christi residents mocked the bluff and called us bluff rats, we loved the community and believed in it. When my mother's health reached the point that she could no longer manage the property, my young family moved into my childhood home. This is my parents' legacy. The city of Corpus Christi has long neglected the Flower Bluff area. Our street has ditches that do not drain. Any notable rain results in 6 to 12 to 18 inches of stagnant, mosquito, mass-producing water. And while we will likely never see sidewalks on our street, we do, however, boast over 400 potholes on our short half-mile strip of road. Large sections of Flower Bluff Drive still do not have sidewalks, resulting in more than 1 death. Despite the irreverence shown by the city and the lack of infrastructure, we love our community. I am disappointed that my elected official is silent due to his connection. I once again feel that our needs, our desires have been ignored. That empty chair is a painful visual testament of our long history of lack of representation. My parents invested their life savings, their sweat, and their legacy into that land. With the understanding of the city plans and agreement between this city and my parents and my family for what the future would hold. And I understand that plans change and they evolve, but this is not an evolution of plans. This is a bait and switch. You are stealing, not just from me, not just from my parents, but from my children who talk about what their children will do when they live in that home. How many of you live next to apartment buildings? How many? It increases crime, it increases noise, it increases activity. It changes. We had a piece of paradise. And I stand before you asking, not, sir, may I please have more? I stand before you asking, please, sir, may I have some respect, some consideration to what we have invested. The people that were here long before this out-of-town investor realized he could cash in on what we have built. We are your residents. We are your constituents, not an out-of-town developer who couldn't make time for us, who did not care about us. The Smith family came and they stepped forward, and I understand they have needs that they want, that they have, and we're not against that. But we will be here long after he cashes his checks. We are your constituents, and I hope that you hear our voice.
Thank you, Ms. Herndon.
Carl Folsey?
Fols. Carl Fols, 1721 Whitner. My family developed property at the very end of Graham Road, 1981. So we were maybe the third house in there. Old man Whitner, he built that house on Whitner. And I'll correct Kathleen a bit. She said, well, she's right, 400 potholes and a half mile of Graham Road. Then you got Whitner Road, which is about 0.2 miles, which is another, 50 potholes. So I agree with all the previous folks, in my neighborhood that spoke before me, but I'll address, my concern is now that the Navy has agreed with this, it's going to be a hard thing for us to turn around. So I'll address, if it does happen, what are y'all going to do for us? So, I worry about the plans, what compensation, this is definitely going to devalue my property. So what can the city or the developers do to compensate the residents that all their property values are going to be lower because of the rezoning, okay? And so I could look at the city and ask them to lower my property taxes. That's one thing. I could ask the city or developers, as people have talked about, the drainage, the roads have never ever been repaved. The ditches, right now, it hadn't rained in a while, and we got a foot of water in our ditches. We're putting a bunch of concrete up there, or pavement, where this development's going to be. The drainage goes from north to south. From east to west, it's flat. From Flower Bluff Road over to the Oso, it's flat. And there is a drainage ditch next to that road that's going in there, but that ditch is flat. It's just like the ditches on Graham Road. They're flat, they're not draining. So for compensation or restitution, we could go to the city or the developer and ask them, what can you do to help us? Can you put in drainage? Because all that water is going to be coming from north to south. Can you put in drainage? Can you give us new paved roads? The new area is going to have sewers. We don't have sewers. So it'd be nice to have sewage systems. So, I don't want to say that we're defeated just because the Navy joined in, but I worry about that. I still stand on the side of my other residents that we don't want this. So thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Fulton.
And last on the list is Barbara Kilgore. Okay, pass, okay. All right, Mayor Pro Tem, that concludes the individuals who signed up today for public comment.
Okay, is there any individuals that would like to speak that did not sign up? Okay, excuse me, sir. Gentlemen, please come up. When you come up, please state your name and address.
Daniel Pena, 2813 Hobart Street, Corpus Christi. I live in an area that's called Hillcrest, okay, and we have so much things going on over there. We've tried to talk to the staff and other people, and we're just not getting anywhere. Potholes, wastewater, sewage, whatever you want, lights, and this has been going on for a couple of years. We've been trying to talk to people and get some of these things addressed. You know, we had a little thing going on about the potholes to report them, and they were going to get done. I don't know where they're at with that, but you know, I reported them 2 weeks ago with as many as 13 in just 4-block area. None of them have been addressed. Okay, and if you relayed that to me or gave me a reason, then at least I'd understand. But nothing has ever been. No one has ever responded to any of the calls. And the things that are going on in our area are a lot to do with the construction. Okay, this bridge was supposed to be a 3-year project. 3 years turned into 5 years. Now 5 years turned into 10 years. We live in an area that probably doesn't even cover a quarter mile, maybe half a mile. And the 5 years that they've been there, they haven't been able to finish that. You know what I mean? We're the one that's going through all this. To come here today, I didn't sign in because I wasn't able to get here on time. I left the house at 11:30. It took me 2 minutes before 12 to get not even 2 miles from my house, because I couldn't go down Leopard. Leopard's blocked off. I couldn't go down Port's blocked off. You know, I had to come all the way back and come down the back road over here. You know, those are things that, you know, is it just deal with it? No, it shouldn't be like that. You know, there's too many things going on over there, and nobody's addressing them this morning. Our trash is still sitting out in the front yard because they should have picked it up yesterday. This has been going on for a month. We have to call them to come back and pick up our trash because they didn't come. Or they only went on one side of the street. The brush, when you had this freeze, we got blended in with the brush that happened with the freeze. Well, they never picked it up. They didn't come until almost the end of April, and that already matched up with our normal trash pickup. And soon after, we had that storm. The trees fell again, and guess what? I'm not coming here to beg you for nothing. We pay for these services. So I'm going over there, and I'm trying to pick up the brush and put it on the street, and I'm trying to call the city services, and they're telling me, well, if you put it out there, you're going to get a fine because it's too early. You're not due till August. Okay? Well, I'm going to pay you to come pick it up. Well, we don't have those services anymore. We can't give you a trailer. We can't go special pickup. You know, I know those things they were available, but they're not available no more. Is that just our neighborhood or all neighborhoods? Because we're trying to get things done, and that doesn't help. I mean, there's an overabundance, tall grass from the port. They own all these properties. You know, there's so many things going on over there, and nobody's buying in the store. You know, we've asked, and I'll ask again.
Mr. Pena, thank you.
I understand my time is out, but, you know, we're
I
asking.
understand.
I'm asking any one of you, councilman for District 1, come on, man, give us a call. I've asked you to call me. My name is Daniel Pena, 2813
Thank you, Mr. Pena.
I understand.
All right, come on up. You'll be our last person to speak.
Good afternoon, council. Excuse me, I'm glad to see you back and welcoming the public. Certainly want to congratulate the
Sir,
city.
can you name your...
Brian Watson. I live at 5813 Hugo. I'm sorry, I forgot about that. I want to commend Mr. Zanoni for his professionalism in handling the crises of the last year or two. It's been tough for all of us, and appreciate the city setting the example for keeping it in order and getting through this and see what's next. Two things. There's some speculation that evictions are going to start happening en masse across the country once the current statutes expire, or statutes, what are policies, what have you, I would say to any extent that the city, particularly the police department here in Corpus, is called upon to participate in that, if it does happen, I would say be very careful about it because it's a tricky game. You certainly don't want rioting in the streets like we've seen in other cities. And also, I have located a source for a video on fluoridation of water supplies. It's available through a website. For some reason, the publisher is having some problems with this website. But once I get that, I'll bring it. I'll make it available to any of you who might want to watch it and see what you think about that issue. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Okay, thank you. I want to also say that for those of you who are in the audience, that we haven't had this for a while, but we could, as a council, if it's not on the agenda, we cannot respond to a lot of your questions. And generally during public comment, we don't respond. We will be talking about item number 13 on that rezoning. So if you're welcome to stay and listen to all the comments that we'll have for that. So, okay, moving back to the city manager's comments.
Okay, good. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and members of the council and community. So we began our conversation by talking about Memorial Day. We're going to continue on the summer trend. And, you know, the beach may not be for everybody, and the city does have 6 swimming pools we want to bring to the attention of the community, as well as 3 splash pads and an interactive pool at the end of Ocean Drive or Shoreline Drive. So we want to tell you about the season. The pools have opened up now at June 5th was the first day of pool season, and they'll stay open until August 9th. And we're going to show you on the screen here the hours and the locations. So Collier Pool is open Tuesday through Sunday. The Natatorium at Cabinets Parkway is open Monday through Sunday. West Guth Pool up in the northeast part of town is open Wednesday through Sunday. We have Greenwood Pool, which is one of our bigger pools, that's open Wednesday through Sunday. And then the HEB pool is open Monday through Sunday. And you can see the hours on the screen. I don't want to read them off because it'll be probably hard to comprehend anyway in terms of the number of pools. We also have Oso Pool that's open Monday through Sunday. So in addition to those swimming pools that have lifeguards and good amenities, we're working to improve some of them. We know several council members have as a policy issue better pool maintenance and even more pools in the community, like Councilman Hernandez. In fact, in our bond program, we have the design dollars for a new pool at Bill Witt Park. So in addition to the pools, we have splash pads that we recently put in. Last year was the first season. You can see some pictures of them here. We have 3 locations. One is at Bill Witt Park, and we also have one at Lindale Park, and then one at Salinas Park. And these are open May through October, and they're open through the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., pretty much the park operating hours. And there is just an update on the Salinas one. One of the components that regulates the pump is out. And due to the disruption in supply chain because of the COVID pandemic, we're working on repairing it. Actually, it's going to take about another week to repair. By the time we get all the parts in, to buy a brand new regulator, it's going to take much longer than that. So we're going the repair route. But the Salinas one should be up within the next week or so. So on the city's website at cctexas.com/parks is a complete listing of these 6 swimming pools and 3 splash pads and their hours of operation. So we want to tell the community, come on out. We have trained lifeguards, clean amenities, brand new facilities at the splash pads, and it's a great way to cool down if you don't want to go to the beach. Now, most recently, the Bayfront Park fountain down here at the end of Shoreline by the American Bank Center was completely restored. It's been out of operation for 4 years, right? And when you drive by now, all the jets and all the water is working. I biked by there myself on Sunday, and it was a spectacular sight early in the morning. It is an interactive pool, so it's not a water fountain to watch. It was designed to be a wading in type pool, and people are using it, and we want them to. In addition to get it running, we're also doing improvements to that park area. Councilman Molina brought to my attention about putting more signage about the do's and the don'ts. There was some signage there, but it's faded over the years, so that will be replaced with the appropriate protocols that we want the community to follow. We also have placed more trash receptacles along that water feature to help encourage our residents to use the trash receptacles rather than the pool itself for disposal of items. Now, we know City Council recently approved a lease with a local business. Magonados is going to be operating one of the kiosks that are there. That has been vacant for many years as well. As part of the restoration project, we restored that building itself, new air conditioning system, new hot water heater, improvements to the kitchen inside. And so soon the community will be able to get a cold refreshment or a light sandwich from that local operator who is well known in the community. With the completion of the project, the City Council is going to hold a grand reopening on Friday, July 2nd. And we'll be sending you all invites to that later this week or later today or this week. So July 2nd, sometime in the day, we're going to do a grand reopening of that beautiful feature that we have in the city of Corpus Christi. We look forward to the community coming out to see it and kind of re-commemorate it. Now, swimming and the beach and other outdoor activities is something that people aren't up for the summer. We also have a great science and history museum. We know we have that down there in the C District. And we did want to just alert the community that the Port of Corpus Christi is doing improvements in the immediate area of the museum. As we know, their new headquarters building is nearing completion, and they have a fabulous project that'll really reinvigorate and reimagine a space in between the History Museum and their building that up to this point was just asphalt, the parking lot, or actually a roadway that really wasn't used much. And so for about the next 2 months, this new promenade will be under construction, having a little bit of an impact to the parking at the History and Science Museum. We do want to let the community know, though, there's ample additional parking that we've put in place as a temporary measure with new signage that is coming in this week. So on this map, you can see this is where that X is. That's the center, the History and Science Museum. There's parking here in this triangled area, as well as, well, they took it off, as well as next to the Harbor Playhouse. So we want the traveling public and the community that's going to visit the site to not get discouraged by the temporary improvements, because when it's done in about 2 months, there's going to be a beautiful outdoor promenade where people can walk to the ship channel and see those ships come in through the day, as well as go into the museum and enjoy it. So one more thing on summer fun, or maybe not so much fun, right, Coach Joe, is the Duke It Out boxing program. And so we have Coach Joe, and several of his boxers have been in front. They've been real patient listening to our business meeting so far, so we're glad they're here. Coach Joe is going to give us an overview of a local nonprofit program that helps at-risk youth learn the fundamentals of boxing, which includes discipline, health, and wellness. And as well, it gives them self-confidence that can be used as a vital tool into their adulthood, right? So Duke It Out Boxing was established in 2018, and it's staffed with over 5 certified boxing coaches. Today, we have some participants in the front row, but there's a total of 50 in the program, right? It's a real big program. Just a quick word on Coach Joe, and we're going to turn the mic over to him. He was born and raised here in Corpus Christi, and he's been active in local boxing since his junior high school years, which wasn't too long ago. And Coach Joe is a certified level 1 boxing coach, and he's registered through the USA Boxing affiliation. So we want to hear a little bit about this important program that we have in our community with summertime, with kids being out and about. This is a great opportunity to enroll them and give them some of these life skills that will carry them forward. So Coach Joe, go ahead.
Thank you. It's Coach Joe with Duke It Out Boxing, and it's a great honor to be here, City Council, and it's a great experience for these young kids to know exactly what it is y'all go through on a daily basis. I have a short video, please, if we could have that so you can watch. Out Boxing Club started back in 2018 in January with just one coach, which is Coach Dude, and only 3 boxers.
Started working out the garage, and little by little it took on. I had my son and 2 other fighters, and we grew.
We kind of worked at the idea that we would take more kids that were being bullied or having self-esteem issues and use not just the fundamentals of boxing for competitive boxing, but to help kids that typically weren't going to go into that side of the sport, but they still needed help.
I mean, we have kids in here that walk in that won't even say 2 words. I can tell you 99% of these kids ain't gonna be pro fighters. And even though he doesn't have potential, you still gotta do it because we don't leave nobody behind. Everybody's gotta grow.
See him walk in from day one, not being able to jump rope or just run, you know, doing the basic exercises, and then watching them get better in each time that they keep going, it builds up confidence right then and there.
Everything starts off here in the gym.
My philosophy is work hard, win easy.
You have to put in the work, no matter what, you have to. I mean, I always tell the kids, you know, hard work beats talent when talent isn't working.
1, 2, 1, 2. Straight here, here. Nice. You swimming? Are you swimming? Don't swim.
Think discipline, respect, and control. That's the main ones. You gotta be very disciplined, not just here, but at home as well.
And those things can be applied in life at any time, whether it's work, school, any kind of thing that you're faced with.
I gotta hit.
Quitting's the easiest thing you can do. Let's go. Push yourself. 50, go. It's all the coaches that work here, volunteers. We don't get paid for what we do. But I think it's more of the impact we can have on these kids. You know, what is it that we can teach them to help them overcome the obstacles we know they're going to face?
Who wants it more? Is it you or is it him? I know I want y'all to want it more because I want it. Right as soon as they step in that ring, they're already winners in our eyes. It takes a lot of courage to get in this ring and look at somebody in the eye and punch and get punched.
You're not a failure. In here, in this gym, you are not a failure. You're a winner. As soon as you walk in that door and you're doing everything that Coach Eric and then Coach Joe pushes you and I'm pushing you to it, you're a winner automatically. You're not no loser. So when you go out there and you try to succeed in life, we'll give you the tools for life.
I know you can do it. All you gotta do is put your mind to it. Wake up, one more
Again.
Anything you do and everything you do, you have to give it 110%. No matter what it is, you have to give it your all. I mean, I want them to believe in me the way I believe in their kid.
It's got to be straight punches, guys.
Win or lose, it doesn't matter. Coming in out of the ring, the love for the kids that you got, when they exit the ring, that's what we drive for. That's what I love. Either as soon as they get out, they embrace them with a lot of love, and that's what I look for.
I know you can do it. All you gotta do is put your mind to it.
The cool part of history about this video, the coolest part about this video was made roughly 2 years ago, right before the pandemic. We had 3 coaches and 25 boxers. Currently, we have 5 coaches and 50 boxers. We're at max capacity. So our program serves kids from 8 years of age to young adults. And again, we teach them the things they can get from boxing, the fundamentals they utilize to get respect, discipline, and we want to make sure we're dealing with at-risk kids in the community. We want to prevent them from poverty, drugs, gangs, gangs and violence that they can be exposed to. So when we use the fundamentals to teach these kids discipline, respect, and confidence, we give them a fighting chance at life, one round at a time. The coaches will volunteer approximately 8,000 hours a year with this program. And that's not including out-of-town trips and any programs that we do when we do tournaments, which we have to stay overnight. Also, we have to balance our full-time jobs and our family at the same time. Again, 65% of the kids in our program are dealing with bullying. Some deal with depression. Some come from low-income families. Some come from single-parent homes. So we want to challenge these kids not only physically, but also mentally. We push them beyond their physical and mental limits so they can achieve goals that they didn't think they were capable of achieving. They must have passing grades at school. They must stay out of trouble and attend community service events and have life goals. Our program provides a bully-free environment, a safe environment for these kids in the community, a place they can call their second home. We do all of this with a building that's only 2,500 square feet. The building itself is roughly 2,000 square feet, take away the storage and the spot we have for the office. So with 50 kids maxed out, any kid that comes up to our program that we want to offer them an opportunity to change their life, we can't. We have to tell them no, we don't have the spot for them. What we do is we hope that, we're going to be getting an opportunity to build a new facility. That's the goal. We want to be the next Boys and Girls of Corpus Christi or YMCA of Corpus Christi, and we want to duke it out that next legacy for kids to come from the community, from this local area. Without a place like this to call their second home, being protected from the environments that they're surrounded by, we won't have them get a chance at life. But what we can do is we can provide them an opportunity to succeed. So as with those 2 kids we talked about in the beginning, with one coach, 3 kids, 2 of them are standing right over there, sitting over there. Troy Whittle, can you stand up? They started off with this program in 2018. We have number 8 in the nation and number 5 in the nation. They have gone to compete. We have a mixture of kids that are from 8 years of age, boys and girls, all mixed in, come in and learn the fundamentals of boxing. Our goal is to bring this program and available to everybody in the community, but we can't do that with the facility we're dealing with. So we tried before COVID to bring a big event that hadn't been brought to Corpus in over 30 years, and that was the Junior Olympics, which was going to bring about 4,000 to 5,000 people from Austin down to the valley, left and right, to Corpus Christi to come see 3 days worth of boxing for for Junior Olympics, I'm sorry. And they were going to compete. And they would have all of these kids come into our area, which would give the community an opportunity to get an income boost in hotel, lodging, restaurants, of course, shopping districts, and of course, an opportunity for them to see the city by the sea and possibly be a tourist attraction for them later. Unfortunately, COVID hit, and it shut down that opportunity for us to do that. So the next thing we did was we needed to ensure we had fundraisers that we could do this to get to the facility. But of course, we ain't talking about just your basic food benefits and of course car washes and other stuff that would take us roughly 20-something years plus to achieve our goal. We had to figure out a way to jump by leaps and bounds. And so our 2018 established Duke It Out Boxing Club with the 50 boxers we have. And proudly, I brought our ambassadors. We got Efren Franco and Barbie Baker, our ambassadors for Duke It Out. We have come together to put down one of the hugest events where we're going to bring to Corpus Christi. And that's called the TKO Gala. And we're bringing Sugar Ray Leonard to Corpus Christi. And he will be speaking at the Omni Hotel. So what we want to do is we want to not only put Corpus Christi on the map with our professional boxers that are working or kids that go out and represent Corpus Christi on a national level, but we want to bring big celebrities to Corpus to put that limelight on us for having that just that shine, being able to say, hey, look what we're doing. And of course, with your help, with the gala, whether supporting the gala or helping us with the facility, we can house all these kids. My goal is to ensure that there's not one kid that walks to our door and we have to turn them away or hope that they don't become another statistic in the street. So we want to house a facility that's big enough to take over about 300 kids. We know this program works. We've seen it work hand in hand, whether they lose weight, whether they get confidence, whether they become competitive boxers, or at least they get the goals that they need to achieve something in life. Because who knows, we might have the next city council members in our gym, the next mayor, the next city manager, then the next doctor, who knows? And we can provide that opportunity with them because we want to make sure that they have that opportunity to succeed in life. You know, if they didn't have the mentorship and the guidance, we don't want to lose them, and we want that opportunity. So I want to say thank you again for this opportunity. Again, only because we are Corpus Christi. Thank you. Any questions?
Any questions for Coach Joe?
Council members, any questions for Coach Joe? Councilman Molina.
Thank you, sir. Coach Joe, it's always good to see you, especially out in the community. I know that you try to get out there as much as you can. And thank you for what you and the organization are doing for these young kids. What's the best way to get more information? Do you have a website or email address?
Yes, dukeitoutboxing.org. It would be our website. And then as well, you can reach us by dukeitoutboxingclub@gmail.com.
Okay, and if I'm sure you're always looking for sponsorships and stuff like that.
Correct.
Can they go to the website and
They
get
can go to the
information?
website. Basically, it's just getting a hold of me. It's 361-906-7876. If you don't remember the number, just go to the website at dukeitoutboxing.org, and my number will be listed on there. So any opportunity for sponsorship, any investment into the community for our organization. Again, the 5 coaches that we have, we're all volunteers. We work full-time jobs. One of the coaches we have is disabled, so he still works with his kids. We have a professional boxer that's a coach as well, who volunteers his time. And then the other 3 coaches, we work full-time jobs. And most of the time when we first started with this program, a lot of out-of-pocket expenses came from us to be able to continue to provide this program. So that's when we converted into a nonprofit. And I felt that once we did that, I could bring our awareness and our mission to the community, and I think they would, in hand, turn around and see how involved that we are, preparing their future generation of tomorrow, and they'd want to be a part of that. Because without that, we wouldn't be where we're at.
I know you're looking for a new building or new facility, and I think at one time I had asked Peter if there's any way that we can partner with that. I don't know where that conversation went, but would like an update whenever you get a chance.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Coach Joe.
Again, guys, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Coach Joe. And Mayor Pro Tem, if you don't mind, can we give all the boxers here a round of applause? You guys stand up. Thanks for being here. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Coach
Thank
Joe.
you.
Mayor and Council, just 2 other quick things. The Sandbag distribution, we want to talk to the community about that because we'll be handing them out beginning this weekend, I believe. So we're being more proactive this year when it comes to Sandbag distribution. Normally we hand them out during the event, during the week of the event or the days leading up to it. But City Crews will distribute 12,000 sandbags at 4 different locations starting starting next weekend. So each site, there's going to be 4 sites across the community, and residents can receive 7 free sandbags at these events. The 4 sites will be open from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. or until all the sandbags are distributed. And the first event will be Saturday the 12th, actually this Saturday the 12th, at West Guth Park. That'll be the first site, West Guth Park this Saturday. And then Sunday will be the second location. That'll be at J.C. Elliott Transfer Station at 7001 Ayers. Okay, so those 2 sites this weekend, 8 to 12, to come and get free sandbags. And in the event we get a hurricane. And then the final 2 events will be held on Saturday, June 19th, both on that day at 2 different locations. One will be at Waldron Field at 3746 Waldron Road, and then the City Service Center at Silverton at 5352 Ayers. So on Saturday the 19th, next Saturday, there'll be 2 events where we'll be handing out sandbags as well. So we encourage the community to be prepared. We're trying to be more prepared as a city in many ways, and this is one way that we can take care of this important element and being ready for a hurricane. We can do it now rather than waiting until a hurricane's on the radar. Okay, and then finally, the Litter Critter program. We know that this past weekend we began that program. We heard one of the residents talk about, I think from the Hillcrest area, the Litter Critter program. It's back. Mayor Guajardo made a point to bring it back, and we brought it back. The first event took place this past Saturday, but there'll be an event across the community each of the months moving forward. So in July, we'll have the Flower Bluff area will be serviced. In August, Cal Allen will have the Litter Critter program. The Litter Critter program, by the way, is an opportunity for residents to get rid of bulky items, brush, junk, garbage. It's basically a big roll-off container where the resident can kind of walk in and just dispose of those items that they don't want anymore. And so August 7th was Cal Allen, then September will be the Toloso, Midway, Annabelle area. October will be the west side of Corpus Christi, and November will be the south side, and then December will be the Midtown, kind of the central city area. So the Litter Critter program at those locations, they will be announced as we move forward, but the time is 9 to 3 in the daytime. And then one final note, which is an important one, I mentioned it in the beginning, the city is moving out of, effective today with this announcement, the stage 1 drought response that we have been in. And so this is an important one here. So in recent weeks, we've been fortunate with the abundance of rain that has touched our watersheds, both in the west part of Texas as well as the east. We know that the lakes are all up, including Lake Texana. And so Choke Canyon Reservoir, Lake Corpus Christi, those are the two lakes that we use to measure our drought response. Today, their levels are at 57.4% filled, right? So more than 50%, which means based on city council policy, we can move out of the drought response because it's above 50%. And so a year ago, just to put it into context, they were today just a little above 50%. So we're at 57% today compared to a year ago at just a little over 50, so that's good. And so we're calling that, with this announcement today, we're required by the city council policy to notify certain institutions and individuals like Nueces County, the hospitals, and big users of our water. And so that will happen as well this afternoon. We do, though, want to encourage all users, our residential, commercial, industrial customers, that conservation is one of our best measures to have water in the future. We know that with these high levels, we're still in a precarious situation in terms of our water supply. We know the city council, one of your top policy issues is water diversification and bringing in more reliable resources in terms of water. And so we do encourage the community to conserve. Our slogan that we've used is a little bit can go a long way, right? And so let's be mindful of that. Persons can water now more than just one day a week, but we want them to be mindful of conservation because that's one of our best ways to keep our water. So, Mayor and Council, that concludes my city manager's report for this morning.
Okay, thank you, City Manager Zanoni. Any questions, last questions for the city manager? Councilman Pusley.
Just a couple of things, Peter. On the swimming pools, you said we have, is my mic on? You said we have 6 total across the city currently, and we're looking at installing an additional pool, possibly at Bill Witt Park. Is that correct?
Yes, Councilman. So in the 2020 bond program, there was design monies for an additional new pool at the Bill Witt Park.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Does our website have a geographic map location of the 6 pools we currently have?
It should have, I don't know if there's a geographic map, but it does have the pools listings as well as the hours of operation because they're all slightly different in terms of lap swim or open pool. And so that website is cctexas.com/parks. Okay. And that has a big website on the parks.
Yeah, I realize that, but it would be help to geographically know where those are located.
We're going to see if there's one on there.
So how do we determine where a particular part of the city gets a new pool?
Based on where the pools are today, so the Bill Witt Park was identified because in that region, in City Council District 5 in particular, there is no city swimming pool. And so that was one of the predominant reasons why. So we look at a radius of where are the pools and what communities served, and so there's a big deficit in that section of town.
I know we have a pool at West Guth Park, which is essentially the Toloso, Midway, Annabelle area, but we have nothing west of, 77 in the Cal Allen area. And there was a pool located in the Cal Allen area years ago that was a city-owned and operated pool, and for whatever reason they closed it down and filled it in with dirt and sold the property.
Yeah.
So if we're going to be looking at new pools in the future, I know Councilman Lerman and I have discussed this at length. We need to look at something for the northwest area of Corpus Christi.
Okay. We know that's a growing area, and Councilman, it's timely that you tell us that because we're beginning to look at the 2022 bond program. I just met with staff last week to go over the schedule and how much capacity we have for that bond program. So we'll put that on our list as a, if not a full design build, at least the design like we're doing in this bond program for the Bill Witt.
Okay. With respect to the litter critter program, I sent some information about possible locations to host that for the Toloso Midway area.
Okay, good. And we'll have two up there, Councilman. One in the Cal Allen, the more north, and then a little bit more south, the Toloso Midway, Annabelle area.
I put several of these together when I was county commissioner, and I also contacted Firestone Tires here locally, and they would send a truck out to be on site at the same time we were doing the roll-off, and they would take tires. People could bring tires. That's a big issue, especially out in the rural areas of Corpus Christi, where people will use our drainage ditches for tire distribution, so to speak. And so I would ask that maybe we look at that, and I can give you the name and phone number later. But
okay.
Firestone is very good about that, and they will collect the tires, and they take them up to Liberty, Texas, where they're shredded and put through a recycle process where they recycle the rubber and reuse it.
Okay.
And then lastly, I would like to speak with respect to something I have received a lot of phone calls and emails about in the last couple of weeks, and that is our water releases. There is a great deal of misunderstanding and misconceptions about how the water releases work in the city of Corpus Christi. And you have to understand that people who live out in the west part of the city, when they see water running over the salt dam at Labonte Park, as far as they're concerned, we're letting water out of the reservoirs. And those of us who have been involved in the process realize that that can be from rain runoff, it can be from the fact the city is letting water out to go to the treatment plant, those sort of things. So somehow we need to have a better explanation that we can put on our website to let people know where they can go to get a detailed explanation. I know your staff, Peter, has provided me with some detailed explanations here recently about how the water releases work, what our requirements are under our agreed order with the state of Texas. And so I think it would be really good for once and for all to be able to explain to the people in our community and the communities beyond how our water release program works and what that means to the city and to them.
Yeah, Councilman Pusley. So this morning, our new chief operating officer for our wastewater utility, Mike Murphy, who's here with us, told me of his plans already after working with you over the weekend. So we're going to do a lot more information to include a video that'll show our dam operators of how they release the water, why they do. We'll show you the monitors. We'll show you why the state requires us to release that water to keep salinity levels at a particular level downstream in the Nueces River. Yeah. So yeah, more information is coming to include easy to understand video. Yeah. So yeah, we appreciate those comments this morning.
Well, I appreciate that. I have always personally had a little bit of a burr under my saddle about how the salinity levels are tested and monitored. I don't think we do an adequate job of that. You can't convince me with all of the rain that we've had in the past 2 weeks that we have a salinity issue in the Back Bay. So I don't know. I thought the city was in charge of that, but according to the information that you provided to your staff provided to me, that's run by the Nueces River Authority. And so if that's true, I'm highly suspect of how that process works.
Okay, we'll look into that and get back with you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Councilman Smith.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank staff. The Litter Critter program last weekend on the island was a great success, working with CC Disposal. But we also, the Flower Bluff Citizens Council, they've got this Saturday, working with the city aides in that, from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock at 10811 SPID. There will be a community program at that point in time. Then we'll have the Litter Critter following coming there. So the litter critter is 9 to 3, where it's 8 to 10 this Saturday at 10811 Flower Bluff to help clean up Flower Bluff. And tires are welcome at the litter critter. So thank you for bringing that program back. It's just a huge success for all the city.
It is, and we'll have one every month going forward and into the future as well. I did want to just add one more comment on Councilman Pusley's comment on the tires. So currently, we do not accept tires, but we'll work to try to get that program to accept them, because you're right, if they end up I see them myself when I bike on the weekend, we see them on the roadside ditches. And so for the next one, we'll have a tire service going forward as well.
No, it's a huge issue, and it was for us at the county. We had crews that did nothing on a almost daily basis that go out and pick up tires out of our ditches in the county. So we worked with the Firestone Company. They would bring an 18-wheeler truck out to the litter critter site, and you could load those tires up, and they would and it cost the county nothing, and it costs the city nothing if we get involved in that.
Right, that's what we like, so we'll be making some calls.
Okay, thank you. One last question on my part. On the swimming pools, can you restate if we're charging people to enter the swimming pools?
Oh, great point, Councilman. No, 2 years ago in my first budget to the City Council, we eliminated the long-standing fee. So there is no admission fee to getting into any of our 6 swimming pools. And the 7th pool that's on Flower Bluff, Parker Pool, that one also we're subsidizing their operation, so there's no fee there as well. So free entrance for anybody at our swimming pools. We've eliminated that necessity to pay to get in.
Right, and that's awesome, especially
Yes, sir.
in some of our less wealthy areas.
Yes, sir.
Also, you were doing some assessment on learn to swim programs. Were you
right? We're working on that, and so the council knows, and the community may be aware that recently we had a council goal setting session where the council discussed priorities for the next 12 months. And one of the takeaways from that workshop, that was a day and a half, was let's look at being a leader in offering free swim lessons to our residents. We know we're a coastal city, we're surrounded by water, yet a lot of our residents either can't afford or don't have access to adequate swimming lessons. And so that's something we're looking at, and we'll bring something forward soon in terms of how we can grow this program over time. The goal is to have access for any child that wants it, to have free swimming lessons and learn how to swim before they get of age to get into those waters.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on to item I, boards and committee appointments. I believe the first one up is the Animal Care Advisory Committee.
Yes, sir.
And I will entertain nominations for that board.
There are 3 vacancies on the board, 1 local animal welfare organization and 2 at large. If we could start with the local animal welfare organization category, that would be ideal.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to move to reappoint Connie Bowen.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to nominate Chris Baker.
For the general side, if we were doing the local,
That's right.
the local animal welfare organization first, sir. If that.
He's got on here local.
Oh, for that category? All right.
Okay, so we'll have 2 nominations for local animal welfare.
Is there only 2? I withdraw Chris
Oh, okay.
Baker.
There's just 1.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to reappoint Connie Bowen. Sorry,
Bowen.
excuse me. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, so
All
then.
right, we have a reappointment.
Yes, sir. And then there's 2 at-large positions open.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to nominate Chris Baker.
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to nominate Kelsey Reed.
Are there any other nominations?
Mayor Pro Tem, I'd like to move to appoint Baker and Reed to the slots.
Second.
Is there a second? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Okay. So next we have the Civil Service Board and Civil Service Commission. There's 1 vacancy on each board with a term to 6/15/24. Historically, the same 3 regular members serve on the board and on the commission. The city manager appoints to the commission that handles firefighter and police officer personnel matters with council confirmation. The council appoints to the board, which handles civilian personnel matters. So if we could begin with the commission, City Manager Zanoni is recommending the reappointment of Gerald Avila.
Okay. Can I have a motion?
Okay.
Second.
All right, so Councilman Pusley motion, Councilman Smith second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
So then that would leave us going to the Civil Service Board. We do have 1 vacancy on that board.
So I'll take nominations for the Civil Service Board, or let me rephrase that. Does anybody want to reappoint or make a motion to reappoint Gerald Avila?
So moved. Second.
Did you get that, Ms. Huerta?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, great.
Appointment. Okay, the next one, Crime Control and Prevention District.
Yes, sir. So there's 1 vacancy on the Crime Control and Prevention District. Each council member appoints a board member subject to confirmation by the full council. Councilmember Lerma is appointing Melissa Rios as his representative.
So, Mr. Councilman Lemon, would you like to make the motion to appoint Melissa Rios?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Melissa Rios to the Crime Control Board.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next item, item K, for the consent agenda. Is there any council members that would, this is for items number 2 through 12. I believe the city manager was pulling, or staff was pulling number 9.
That's
Okay.
correct.
Yes, sir.
Number 9, we're going to pull from the agenda.
Okay. Are there any council members that want to pull one for individual consideration? Okay. Well, just a minute. I need to ask one more question. Okay, are there anybody from the public that want to pull one of the anything from the consent agenda from items 2 through 12 minus 9? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Councilman Pusley? Microphone. Councilman Pusley, can you turn on your microphone?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve all the consent agenda items as listed, except for number 9, which has been pulled by staff.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. All right, so now we'll move, there's no legislative update. So we'll go, we still have some time before our lunch recess, so we'll go into public hearings. Mr. Zanoni, are you prepared for item number 13?
Yes, we are. Yeah, Al Raymond, our Director of Development Services here, and he's going to present on this item.
Mayor Pro Tem, I have to recuse myself since I am conflicted on this piece of property, as I did in the public comment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Just for the record, Councilman Smith is recusing himself from item number 13. Okay, so this is for zoning case number 0321-02, ordinance rezoning the property located near 1402 Flower Bluff Drive in District 4 from RE, which is Residential Estate District, to the CG2 General Commercial District, RM2 Multifamily District. The applicant is the estate of Hart F. Smith and Juliana Dunn Smith, and the three-quarters vote is required. Okay, so I know there were some changes, so we'll go ahead and please.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Good afternoon, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Al Raymond, Director of Development Services. The case before you is to rezone the property located at 1402 Flower Bluff Drive from RE Residential Estate District to CG2 General Commercial District and RM2 Multifamily District. The purpose is to allow for the construction of a commercial and residential development. The applicant is Urban Engineering. Slide 8, please. Right now, what's being passed out to you is an updated presentation, just to ensure that you have it, an updated agenda, ordinance, I should say, sorry, and a letter from the Naval Air Station. I wanted to make sure that you have that as well. There's a lot of information going back and forth with this particular project, so I want to start kind of at the end on the alternative proposal timeline and then allow you to ask questions after I present from there, because I think it would be less confusing. So on the screen, you'll see the timeline. Originally, when this case came, when the application was submitted, it was to take the existing property from RE, as I said, residential estate, to CG2 and RM2. That potentially set the stage for approximately 1,100 dwelling units on that 40-acre site, approximately 40-acre site. It was taken to Planning Commission on March 17th. City staff recommended denial. Naval Air Station did not support it as well. So the Planning Commission tabled that particular case and asked the parties to come up with an alternative proposal. The applicant presented provided an alternative proposal that was presented to the Planning Commission on April 14th. It took the existing property, which was RE, as we said before, to CG2, General Commercial District, RM2, Multifamily District, RM1, Multifamily District, RSTH, Townhome District, and RS22, Single Family 22 District. Staff still recommended denial. Naval Air Station still was in opposition. However, the Planning Commission recommended approval on April 14th of this year. This process then proceeded to council. So between April 14th and where we are today, staff, city staff, the Naval Air Station, and the applicant continue to work together to develop, collectively to develop a proposal that was acceptable to all parties. And in doing so, the applicant, with help from the team, if you will, presented this second alternative, which I'm presenting to you today, which has not been submitted for public hearing until today. And that is that it takes the existing property, the existing 39.92 acres, which is RE, and the rezoning that existing property to CG1, General Commercial District, RS6 SP, which is Single Family Residential 6 District with a special permit, RS6, which is Single Family 6 District, and RS22, which is Single Family Residential 22 District. The density would be around 250 dwelling units total for the entire site. The Naval Air Station, the applicant, I should say, is in agreement with that. The Naval Air Station is in support of that, and city staff is in support of that as well. Next slide, please. The special permit, we've downgraded the RM, the multifamily, to RS6. And the special permit, the uses authorized under the special permit, other than the uses permitted by the base zoning of the RS6 single-family district, would be townhome development as permitted by the RSTH townhome district with 2 or more dwelling units per building, subject to an overall limit of 220 dwelling units in that particular zoning district. Development standards, obviously any townhome development permitted under the special permit shall comply with the applicable development standards. Buffer yards, any townhome developed under the special permit shall comply with all applicable buffer yards, and the time limits are standard time limits as expected. Next slide, please. This is the new, I should say, the new zoning that I just passed all to you, and that city staff, the Naval Air Station, and the applicant were all in agreement with. Going from left to right, which is RS22, that's about 3 acres, and that'll be 2 acres per dwelling, 2 units per acre, 2 dwelling units per acre. The next is RS6, that's about 4 acres. That's 7 dwelling units per acre. The next is RS6 SP, That's roughly 27 acres, and that'll be 9 acres, approximately 9 dwelling units per acre. And of course, the CG1, which is 4 acres to the front of the site. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, back to the original slide, thank you. So this is what staff worked out with the Naval Air Station and with the applicant. There's a ton of history in front of that. This is really cutting to the chase quickly, and I stand by for any questions, should you have any, which I'm probably sure you do.
Okay, Mr. Molina.
Thank you, sir. Real quick, Rebecca, City Secretary, for this item, 3/4 vote are required for it to pass.
Yes, sir.
Being that we have a couple of members out, is it 3/4 of the total body? Or
It's
3/4 of?
it is of the total body unless there's an abstention, a formal abstention, which we do have. Mr. Smith is abstaining. So we would actually calculate the amount off of 8 council members, removing that one abstention. So 3/4 vote of 8 council members is 6 votes. So that is the margin that's going to be required today, 6 votes.
Okay. And then question for Mr. Raymond. I know there's been a lot of work put into this, and speaking with Ben Pollock a couple weeks back, at that time the Navy was opposed to this project. What was it exactly that caused them to change their minds and be in favor of this project?
Councilman, the original request would put about 1,100 dwelling units on this site. The subsequent request reduced that to 600, but that still was a lot, so they still had opposition. The max build out now for dwelling units on this site is around approximately 250, so that's where their support comes in.
Okay, and then on that one particular slide that you were talking about that had the different zoning numbers on there.
Could you go back to slide 9, I think it is?
Yeah, I don't think that
10, I'm sorry.
is included in our information packet here. Yes, that one there.
I just passed that out to you,
Yeah.
sorry, this morning.
Okay, so you talked about the units per acre in each one of these color-coded boxes. So on the yellow box here, you said you had 2 per acre?
Roughly 2 units per acre, yes.
So 2 townhome units per acre?
Two
Two dwelling
single-family
units? 2
dwellings,
single-family
right.
dwelling units, okay. Can you kind of just go down the line one more time?
Sure.
And just break that down for me?
Our RS22 is approximately 2 units per acre. The RS6 is approximately 7 units per acre. The RS6 with the SP, it's approximately 9 units per acre. And of course, the CG1.
Okay, and can you tell me at this point which one of these areas here are going to have the townhomes located on?
The red area.
The red area, okay. And so in the yellow and the blue, those are single-family units?
Single-family homes, yes.
Okay.
And the red area is approximately 220 dwellings.
Okay, and for the CG1, what type of buildings would fit in that category?
Commercial, I'm not sure, they've not presented that to us yet, sir.
Okay.
Commercial development, right.
Okay, that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Councilman Lerma.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Couple of questions. I'm looking at my notes here. Well, the first question is the letter that we received from Ben Pollock.
Yes, sir.
When they were opposed of it, he was very adamant about opposing this project. And I understand that it was from 1,100 possible units to 250. But my question is, why isn't Mr. Pollock here to address this council and if we have questions of him, like when they were opposing of it. We met with him, and he told us everything. My concern is, why don't we have that same opportunity to question him here in public, even though he says the base is approving this? Is there a reason why he couldn't be here today?
That's a great question. We've been in contact with Mr. Pollock. He and the commanding officer are in training. It just happened to fall, unceremoniously on the same date, so he couldn't be here. So the next best thing, he provided the letter, hoping that would be sufficient.
I get the letter, but to me, it's not sufficient, to be quite honest with you, because I would
Okay.
like to question, because I have questions of him, and I really would like for him to answer my questions, since there's nobody here able to answer my questions.
Understood.
One of the other questions I have is, we're talking about a buffer zone. It was brought to my attention that's is that a drainage ditch on this on the plat here that you're showing, the picture that you're showing now in the back?
To the south of it, that's a proposed road, right?
Okay.
That road connects
Okay.
to the access easement that connects to 358.
Oh, okay. So is that, where is actually the buffer that they're talking? Somebody was telling me something about a drainage ditch that they have. It's about 150 feet across. Where's that at?
I'm not quite sure.
Right below the road.
Right below the road?
It's existing right now. It's that flat ditch.
Okay,
Okay.
If you can, please do not, if you can get the information to the staff.
Yeah,
We'll call the public hearing in a few minutes, okay? Thank you.
I'm just curious where it's at, because I can't see it on here,
Yeah, gotcha. Could you go to slide 2, please? Sorry. Thank you. So there's a drainage ditch to the southern boundary of the property line, right?
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, where the circle
Where the
is,
circle
Councilman?
is?
Can you
Okay.
see that white circle?
Yes, sir.
That's where it is.
So how many feet is that across?
The width, I'm not sure. Do you know? No, he's the width. It's about approximately 75 feet in width.
Okay, so it's a pretty good size ditch, but, okay. Well, were letters sent out to the public like we normally do?
Yes.
How many
Notification.
how many letters
There
were
were
sent out?
35, let me go to that slide. Could you go to slide 6? There were 34 notifications mailed out within the 200-foot notification area. Of the 34, 3 were returned in opposition, 6 were returned in favor. The 3 are represented by 2 owners, and the 3 also indicates that 2.44% of the landowners within that 200-foot notification area are opposed to this rezoning case.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Risley?
Yeah, I need to correct something here. Because this came in later. The second compromise, the second compromise is less intense than the first compromise that was approved by the Planning Commission. Because the second compromise is less intense and not more intense of a use than what the Planning Commission approved, a 3/4 vote is not necessary. So you'll only need a majority vote for the second compromise.
That's on the alternative that was presented today, Mr. Risley?
Right, that's the alternative number. That's the one that was passed out that the Navy approved.
Okay, so the 3/4 vote is what's in our packet, but for the alternative, it's just a majority.
Okay, so the 3/4 would have been required because there was a difference between staff recommendation and the
Planning Commission.
The Planning Commission. So this is separate from that, so it only requires a simple majority.
The 3/4 vote would have been required because the original application was more intense than what was approved by the Planning Commission. This is less intense than the original application and less intense than what the Planning Commission approved.
Okay, thank you. Oh, hold on. Mr. Molina.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Raymond, there is, I guess that property, the land below this subject property, can you pull up the aerial map?
Could you go to the, yeah, okay, this one, right.
Okay. Now, all that property down there, of that property, how much of that is residential?
All of the property to the south of this subject property is approximately large tract, single-family residences, zoned RE.
Okay. And is there any way we can zoom on that? How many properties or dwellings are located there currently?
I don't have a count. Approximately 18,
There's 18 houses located on this property here?
along the south.
Okay. And is that the, I guess the access to those properties is on, I can't see what,
I think that's Graham Road.
is that Graham Road? I
Yes,
can't
sir.
read it here. So the access is from Graham Road to these properties here?
Yes, sir.
And what are the setback requirements for those properties?
Well, there's a residential estate, and I don't really have that answer. 25 feet from the right-of-way, 15 on the side setbacks.
Okay, is there a rear yard setback?
I don't know off the top of my head, but we can find
Okay.
out, sir.
I'm just trying to see.
If there's a buffer between the new development and the existing development?
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to see what's there right now.
Keep in mind, and I'll certainly respond to that, but if a residential use, abutting a residential use does not require a buffer necessarily. A buffer would be required if a commercial use abuts a residential use. So for the most part, if you look at the colored section I showed you, that entire section would, the rear setback is 15 feet, sir.
Okay, so between the subject property and Graham Road, there's 18 houses located there?
Roughly, yes.
Okay, I'm not seeing it on this map.
Right. I think on the northern side of Graham Road, there's only four or
Several,
five.
Right, okay.
Okay, so can you repeat that?
On the
That's
northern
probably on
side
both
of Graham
sides
Road.
Graham Road, right. So there's probably eight or so on the north and the same distance on the south. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I just pulled it up.
600 feet away. So this is Graham Road here, right? But he's trying to, I think he's just trying to understand the buffer between these guys and that guy.
It would be the drainage ditch and a future road to be built.
Right. So overall, Councilman, sorry for the interruption, but there would be a future drainage. So between these two properties, the existing property and the new property being developed, there would be a future drainage ditch and a future road that connects from Flower Bluff Drive to really 358. That separates the existing RE properties from the future development, if you will.
Okay, so there's going to be a new road and drainage ditch.
Between the existing RE and the new property being developed.
Okay, where is that going to be placed exactly?
If you look at the, could you go back to slide 10, please? It's this right here, right? That is the road, right? There you are. The drainage ditch, right? Thank you, Andrew. So this road comes from Flower Bluff, and what it is, a C1 minor collector, a local residential street, that'll be determined at the plating stage, but it comes from Flower Bluff, goes east and west between between the RE residential homes to the south and the new property being developed to the north, and it turns on this access easement which connects to 358.
Okay, so you're gonna have a new road, a drainage ditch, and then however many feet of green space between the drainage ditch and the abutting adjoining properties.
Right, but keep in mind that green space is on an existing property, so the new property, the RS22, the RS6, and the RS6 special permit are not necessarily required to separate from the RE because it's all residential development.
Okay, I think I understand. Thank you.
Okay, and Councilman Molina, I think when we open the public hearing, we'll have the representative from the developer to be able to give their presentation. Maybe they can answer more questions as to the location of roads. Okay, Councilman Pusley.
Thank you, sir. Okay, I had two questions. First one goes to Miles. Miles, I'm not understanding what you said. You said that we're not required a three-quarter vote. That is because staff and planning commission now support this.
The
Doesn't have anything to do with density.
The three-quarter vote is activated by the planning commission's refusal of a plat or of a proposed zoning classification that's more intense.
The zoning commission never opposed any of these. They voted for and support of both the original and the second, and we are now on a third, which now the staff supports.
They voted in favor of the first alternative. And the first alternative was
You're right. They voted.
The applicant was initially wanting a more intense use
No, I
than the
understand
alternative
that.
they voted on. Therefore, to approve that initial application, you had to have a three-quarter vote.
I don't understand what three-quarter vote has to do with that. What I understood was the three-quarter vote was going to be required because the planning commission approved the alternative, number one, and staff did not.
The three-quarter vote is activated by the planning commission's disapproval of the application or 20% or more of the adjacent properties.
I still don't understand. Anyway, I'm going to skip it because this is going nowhere. Mr. Raymond, can you tell us approximately how wide that the easement will be required to support both the drainage ditch and the new road?
That has not been determined. That will be determined at the plating stage.
Okay. Do you have an approximation?
I'm sorry. The existing ditch is approximately 140 feet in width.
In width. And the road, I'm assuming, will be
If
a
it's a
minimum
C-
of 50 feet wide.
If it's a C1, it'll be 60 feet right of way,
Okay.
per se.
Yeah. So we're looking at a 150-foot wide ditch, right?
Plus another 50
Plus another
feet.
50 foot, so,
50 or 60 feet.
yeah. All right, very good, thank you.
Okay, one last question on my part. Will there be any drainage improvements to the adjoining properties once this is done?
Again, that will probably be determined at the plating stage.
Okay. I did get some, and this is for staff, I did get some photos from some of the complainants on the signs. And I knew we had talked extensively about improving the signage for zoning changes. And this kind of looks like the new sign, but it's laying down in the grass. So I think we need to have either better stands for these things or... Looks like we have a fire alarm. Okay, so I will call a short recess until we, 5-minute recess until we do, well, never mind. Never mind. So let's, if you can answer the question on this as to how this happened. And actually, can you hand that down to Mr. Raymond? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Andrew Demas with Development Services. So signs are posted by staff on each zoning case. In this case, 2 signs were posted. Of course, we did have some storms since now and then. We do try to monitor if signs remain up. By code, the Unified Development Code, the applicant is responsible to make sure the signs stay up. We are ordering new signs that have additional language based on council recommendations from previous meetings. Those are on order as we speak. So
this is not the new sign. It's
this
the
is
older
still
sign.
the original sign style, but the new sign style, which is a little bit bigger,
Larger.
has more information on it for both Planning Commission and council dates, is part of the new order package being produced as we speak. But we as
Okay,
staff do
as I
post.
recall, that was over a year ago that we made those changes to the signs. What happened?
We did have a sign stock that we did not want to waste. So it is a number of signs. When we order signs, we order a 2-year amount. So we did not
So
want to waste.
how much do you have left?
We have about 20 signs left.
Okay. Well, this is one of the reasons why we have why we changed that, because we didn't want to have this kind of situation. All right. So with that, I'm going to open the public hearing, and I'd like to ask the applicant, is the applicant here? Or the applicant representative, please come up and give your information.
Hello, my name is John Bell, 13750 Primavera in Corpus Christi, and I represent the applicant as well as the Smith family, which are the owners of the property. First, I'd like to thank you and the staff for working together with us throughout this entire process. It's been a challenge. The original application was for the entire rear of the property to be a zone for apartments, and that would have resulted in 800 to 1,000 apartments in the back. Even at that, it was just below the threshold required for a traffic impact analysis. Now, with only 220 residences, it will have 0 traffic impact. The reason the 75% rule was noted in the agenda was because the Planning Commission rejected the original application of all apartments and accepted our proposed alternative plan at the Planning Commission that was less than that. You do have an ordinance before you that's based upon the original application. If you were to approve that ordinance, it would require the 75% vote because that was the proposal that the Planning Commission rejected. But no one's asking you to do that proposal. We're way beyond that, and we've come to the new, this new and improved version that we hoped would garner sufficient support. This is a very unique site in that it is 40 acres in Flower Bluff that has complete utilities. It has water, it has sewer, it has transportation infrastructure with Flower Bluff's Drive in the front. These 40 acres, when they pay for the acreage fees, that money will go into your trust funds to provide some replenishment for some badly deplenished trust funds that you have for water and sewer, because this will not require any water or sewer infrastructure. This will be benefiting your trust funds in that regard. This establishes a very clear buffer. Keep in mind that the Walmart, the Murphy Oil facility, the high-rise hotels along SPID immediately abut this property. And while it's understandable that no one wants to have their acre lot house, high-end residential development right next to Walmart or the Murphy Oil facility, they want to be farther away from that, we need to have a buffer. We need to have a transition zone from that development to the other development. Keep also in mind that all the residences on Graham Road is 600 feet south of the southern border of this property. Graham Road is 600 feet south. We have that 600 feet, plus we have a 140-foot drainage ditch in existence. We anticipate a 60-foot road right-of-way for the minor arterial or collector street that's going to be running through there, and so that will provide 200 feet of buffer from the next door neighbor to the south, in addition to the front yard setbacks that occur for any other residents. But so far as the residents that are on Graham Road, they are 600 feet farther to the south of the southern property line of the drainage ditch. We've completely eliminated the apartment concept, and we have a hard cap in this special permit of 220 residences in the townhouse development. This townhouse product is a very exciting product. It's going great in San Antonio. It includes 2-car garages. It includes a 2-story residence, basically with a fenced backyard. Everyone wants 2-car garages. They want a fenced backyard. They're willing to give up the side yards, which are kind of wasted space in a traditional single-family development, to get the bigger backyard, to get the 2-car garage. And it fits a critical intermediate step between multifamily housing and your traditional single-family residence. The developer is very excited about putting this product here. Price point-wise, it's where 2 Navy pilots can afford to split one for a rental basis. It will hit the market very well, we believe, but because people want a fenced backyard, they want the 2-car garage, they want some of those amenities that you get with a single-family house that will be available with these townhouses. We've reduced the density tremendously. Keep in mind that this property is outside the ACUS area. And the critical feature that helped, that the Planning Commission realized, is that this ACUS zone is already 3,000 feet wide. When you look at the ACUS map, this is by double or triple larger than any other ACUS zone in existence in width. It's a 3,000-foot wide ACUS zone, and this property, the northern boundary is between 60 and 500 feet away from the edge of the ACUS zone. So this is not a flight risk. This is not an issue that involves any type of noise or other problems with the Navy. The pipeline that was brought up, it is something that we just simply have to deal with. There will be green space around that pipeline. It's going to be an interior buffer. You have to develop it some way. If you look, there are hotels developed on either side of the pipeline when you go next door to SPID. And I mean, it's just something that we have to work around, but there will be ample space around the pipeline. And lastly, this will tremendously improve traffic circulation in this area by providing a connection from Flower Bluff Drive along the southern boundary of the property, and then connect it back up to the access road to SPID, which is going to really improve circulation dramatically for this particular area. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Councilmember Pusley, hopefully answer the question about the 75% rule. If you were voting on the original proposal, that would require 75%. If you're approving the Planning Commission recommendation, that would be a simple majority vote. And then this new alternative proposal is a simple majority vote because the Planning Commission did not reject it, and it's less intensive even yet.
Okay, so do we have any questions from council members to the developer's representative? Okay, so then I'll open the public hearing to the public. However, I want to remind you that if you spoke during the public comment period, you are not on this issue. You're not eligible to speak at this public hearing on that. So if we have anybody who did not speak during the public comment period, you're open to come in. Ms. Huerta?
So there's no sign-up list for that, but if there's anyone in the audience that indicate, yes, ma'am, come on up.
And please state your name and your address when you come up and speak, and make sure you're speaking into the microphone.
Hi.
You can move it.
I can move it. Hi, my name is Linda Smith Reed, and I live at 1818 Glen Oak. I'm just a few miles down the road from this property in question. Much of the area around this property has changed since my parents, Hart and Juliana Smith, raised my 3 brothers and me. Our family grew up on this land. We have great lifelong friends and many memories that are tied to the home place. My brothers and I graduated from Flower Bluff School System. 3 of us have chosen to live in Flower Bluff, and we have lived there all of our entire lives. We have raised our children in the Flower Bluff area. No one should ever doubt our deep roots to this area, our community, and the city of Corpus Christi. We want you to know that we always have been and still are a proud Navy family. We believe that we have competent people to develop this property. Its close proximity to the NAS, to Padre Island, and SPID make it attractive to people. We need to move forward. A cow pasture is no longer a viable use for this property. My brothers and I are 5th generation to Corpus Christi. We have children and grandchildren that live here. Our request is reasonable, and we respectfully request that you vote favorably for this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have any other comments? Yes, sir. As a reminder, please state your name and address and speak into the microphone. Thank you.
Yes, hello. I'm Brent Smith. I live at 2002 Red Oak Drive in Flower Bluff. First of all, I would like to thank the mayor, council, and staff for the opportunity to present this great plan for our community of Flower Bluff, the gateway to Padre Island and the Laguna Madre. Along with all of my family members, we support and appreciate the Navy's contribution to our community. Today, I still live in the same house I built 35 years ago in Flower Bluff off of Ramfield Road and nearby Waldron. While meeting with the neighbors, we discussed the possibility of decreasing the density by changing from apartments to townhomes as a compromise. The developer and our family have been working with staff and the Navy to reach an agreement that would be acceptable to all. We now have an opportunity to bring in a buyer who is very qualified residential and commercial developer with years of experience developing high-quality properties in close proximity to Lackland and Randolph Fields in San Antonio. Flower Bluff is long overdue for this type of planned development, not only for the benefit of the Navy, but also new growth to the coastal bend, where people are looking for high-quality schools and great outdoor recreation nearby. In turn, this will bring more demand to Flower Bluff business development, for which the property is ideally suited for. The proposed project will be a great benefit to all of Flower Bluff. It will provide new housing that is needed by Flower Bluff and the Navy base and all of Corpus Christi. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Seth. Okay, remember, please state your name and address.
My name is Burton Dunn Smith, and I currently live at 2102 North Wheeler Street in Victoria, Texas. I'm the oldest of the siblings here, and I graduated from college. I went into the Navy and ended up making a 20-year career active duty in the Navy. Among my duty stations associated with Naval Air Stations include Pensacola, Florida, San Diego, California, Norfolk, Virginia, and Washington, D.C. So I'm real familiar with naval bases and the adjoining communities. A big point I would like to make is this property needs to be developed and developed now. It is clearly no longer viable for raising cattle. When I retired from the Navy, I came back and raised cattle on this 40 acres, and that's just not a going concern. This land is actually an eyesore in its present state. It's an embarrassment for us to drive by and see what it has turned into. And if it is left in this current undeveloped state, it is a magnet and a haven for the displaced, for the those without homes. We need to do something about that. Furthermore, with the homeless invading this 40 acres, we've developed a fire hazard there. It was not just a few weeks ago that behind Walmart, a homeless fire started, and the fire department had to be called. Something needs to be done. We feel that this project will benefit not just Flower Bluff. Flower Bluff does need some nice quality housing, particularly for people assigned to the Navy base. As you all may be aware, the Navy is getting away from on-base housing and moving to off-base housing, and has a program with the Morale, Welfare, and Recreation, who does all housing for naval bases, where they partner with the communities. I have talked with representatives there, and they say there is a strong need for townhouse-type housing for their Navy personnel. Right now, these pilots and others are faced with living on the island or in Southside Corpus Christi and looking at a 20 and 30-minute commute to either place. Furthermore, we see the advantages that it brings to the city. The tax money that will come in will be significant, changing this from an ag zoned area to one that will provide significant funds. It will also benefit the Flower Bluff community, the business communities there, and will provide significant funds, for Flower Bluff Independent School District. The ACUS situation, with us being well out of it, it is no surprise that the Navy decided that this would be a good thing to do. Furthermore, it will probably enhance NAS Corpus Christi's BRAC status. We will not be as likely to lose it as we did Chase Field
Thank you, Mr.
and
Smith.
Ingleside.
I appreciate your time, and thank you for your service. Do we have anyone else? Okay, please come on down. Is there anyone else besides the woman coming up? Okay, so we'll have you. Anyone else besides? Anyone else? Okay, so you'll be our last person for the public comment.
Okay, I'm sorry.
It's fine. Thank you.
Barbara Kilgore. I live at 1659 Graham. And I've listened, and there are several things that I feel are not exactly as they were spoken. We're not opposed to the development of the property. We're opposed to in the method it's being developed. If you go down Flower Bluff Drive, there's 2 brand new subdivisions, all single-family dwellings. This is what the community is in favor of. They mentioned something, there wouldn't be any problem with traffic. I don't think he's ever driven down Flower Bluff Drive then. The traffic is horrendous. It sometimes takes me over 5 minutes to get out of Graham Road. And many times I have to turn right to turn left. It is horrible, can be the traffic. And this is a very difficult problem. Also, they talk about step down. If you would look, they want townhouses, and it's a step down to estates. No, that's not a step down. And then they look at, excuse me, the people who were in favor of this, if you go back and look at that map, all those people in favor are commercial. They're along PID. They're not in the residential area. Okay, I think that's about it. Thank you. I'm sorry
No,
if I
thank you.
wasn't clear.
Thank you. All right, sir.
Chuck Urban, 2725 Swantner. I wanted to mention a couple of things. I think most of the items have been pretty well covered. As everyone said, this track's been there for a long time and it's sitting, and for anybody to be able to develop at such a low density, it's just going to sit there forever. It is a primary piece. I've been doing subdivision work in Flower Bluff for like 40 years. Did some of the earlier subdivisions way back with Mr. Pell's, Castle Park and those. And in current times, I'd say in the last 10 years, it's been a real issue for us to get anything done in Flower Bluff. Most people want to build some nice houses. A lot of them want to build houses, maybe not on 20 acres, but 10 acres. There's infrastructure problems in almost all of South Flower Bluff and most Flower Bluff. In most places, there is no drainage and there's no wastewater. So the fire protection is an issue. The particular tract that we're talking about has everything. It's perfectly set up for development. It's got water. It's got a deep sewer line along the back of the commercial stuff. When we did the Flower Bluff Drive project, I guess 8 or 10 years ago, there was a huge problem with drainage on Graham Road and the other adjoining roads. Every time it rained, it would flood. So into the project for Flower Bluff Drive, the Smiths were involved and dedicated a 140-foot drainage easement. That's the buffer that we're talking about. So you'll have 140-foot plus 60-foot. It was designed to drain all that area and carry all that water drainage into the bay. So it's set up, and it's access. Flower Bluff Drive is a major arterial street, plus there's also access to South Padre Island Drive from the back end of the project. It's shown. The one additional item is when it is developed, they'll pay the acreage fees. And I just, off the top of my head, I'm thinking that's probably about over $100,000 worth of acreage fees that'll be required for water and sewer acreage fees. And in this case, the infrastructure is already in. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Urban. And does anybody on council have questions for any of the participants? Mr. Hunter.
Sorry, this is for city. Quick question. Thank you, sorry. We have heard a bunch of times up here already that there is no underground infrastructure needed, or that everything's already in place, utilities are already in place, sorry. That's what I mean to say. Is that correct?
Yes. For this property, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, Mr. Redmond, I have one question, well, two questions for you in terms of the...
Are you closing the public hearing, sir? I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. Public hearing is closed. Okay, Mr. Raymond, on the RS6 with the special permit, is there a reason why we're not doing RMTH specifically?
Because the RMTH has no limit on the amount of dwellings, right?
Okay.
And so we had to step down from, and then go up and limit that, and that we did that with RS6. We could have done it with RS22, but RS6 seemed low density enough.
Okay, so you're limiting the number of townhomes based on the RS6 with a special permit. So it is a benefit to reduce the number.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In terms of infrastructure improvements, obviously I made the question about the drainage, improving the drainage area for the adjoining properties, but also there was a question about sewage or wastewater. Well, where were the wastewater lines? Will there be additional wastewater lines that can be accessed by the adjoining properties?
I do apologize, sir. You're asking questions that need to be asked at the platting stage. The zoning stage just sets the land use. Obviously, are logical questions, and when we look at the maps, it shows that this site, the 40 acres or the 39.92 acres, has access to water and has access to wastewater. How, when, where, all of that hasn't been.
Okay, I understand. We're just doing the zoning. The reason I'm asking these questions is because there's some concerns from citizens about the zoning, what's going to impact their residents. But if we don't know if there's going to be any positive impacts, then you're kind of doing yourself a disservice for not having that information.
Understood.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay, Mr. Baudetta.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Well, I just want to thank the applicant and the Navy for really doing their best to try and mitigate the challenges that that the community has. I understand their apprehension of having, you know, I guess even if you counted the additional residents in there, probably in essence of maybe another 250 dwellings that's out there that's going to make a difference. However, there's a natural setback of about 200 feet from that area. And, you know, I oftentimes, you know, I give the information with the, what is it, of what my children experience when they're, because they don't want to live here in Corpus Christi. And part of the reason that they is because they prefer, I've said before, you know, my brother lives in Austin in the Mueller development. He's got a little tiny yard. He lives right next door to his neighbor. And what is it, but in an area that he lives, it's where the affluent lives. And the same thing is, I have a young son that's a petroleum engineer that lives in Houston. He lives in one of these, he lives in a 3-story townhome that's got a 2-car garage, and what is it, with 2 other engineers. And once again, it's an area that caters to the affluent. And these type of developments will bring more positive development in the area. It brings more ad valorem. We can make more improvements to the area. So I'm really pleased that, you know, once again, the Navy recognizes this is an area that unfortunately has been a haven for the homeless. And that's not saying that this isn't going to resolve the issue, but I think, once again, I've tried to be compassionate with the challenges that the community that's here has, but I think you're going to find that it'll probably be, with the 200-foot natural setback, that you'll find that it'll probably provide some positive development for the area versus waiting for additional people to come in and purchase, you know, 1-acre lots to be able to develop that, because all that is going further south, or further, or at least towards the Petronila area and the London area. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve.
To approve which ordinance, sir? The one that was just presented?
Exactly.
Yes, on the floor, okay.
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion from Councilman Barrera and a second from Councilman Pusley. So, Ms. Huerta, can you do a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. So for passage of ordinance number 13 on its first reading, Councilmember Lerma?
Yes.
Martinez? Aye. Molina?
Aye.
Pusley? Aye. Smith abstains. Barrera?
Aye.
Hernandez?
Aye.
Hunter?
Aye.
And Mayor Guajardo is absent. The ordinance passes.
All right, thank you. We will be recessing for lunch, and we will also be going into executive session. Council will go into executive session on item number 19 per the Texas Government Code, section 551.071. We will return in approximately 30 minutes, so about 2:40. We are in recess. All right, call this meeting back to order. And we are on agenda item number 14 for a public hearing, zoning case number 0421-03, ordinance rezoning a property located at or near 3030 Buffalo Avenue and 902 Nueces Bay Boulevard in District
Sir,
1.
we did have a action on the executive session.
That is correct. My mistake. All right, let's hold off on this on the public hearing. Mr. Martinez, can you please read from what we came out of the executive session?
Yes, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I have a motion to authorize the city manager or designee to execute all documents necessary to settle the case of Terry Henderson versus City of Corpus Christi in an amount not to exceed $95,000.
Second.
Okay, have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Okay, getting back to item number 14, zoning case at 3030 Buffalo Avenue and 902 Nueces Bay Boulevard in District 1 from CN1 Neighborhood Commercial to CG1 General Commercial District and CG2 General Commercial District to CG1 or 1 with a special permit, General Commercial District with a special permit. The applicant is ERF Westside Inc. So if I can ask Mr. Raymond.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. Good afternoon. The case before you is to rezone the property located at 3030 Buffalo Street from CN1 Neighborhood Commercial District, CG1 General Commercial District, and CG2 General Commercial District to CG1 SP General Commercial District with a special permit. The purpose is to allow for the operation of a transit lodging facility for the homeless. The applicant is ERF Westside Inc. Next slide, please. The property is located on the northwest corner of the intersection of Buffalo Street, Buddy Lawrence Boulevard, and Nueces Bay Boulevard, south of Interstate 37. The property has approximately 500 feet of street frontage along Buffalo Street, which is designated as a local residential street, and approximately 430 feet of street frontage along Nueces Bay Boulevard, which is designated as a C1 minor collector street. To the north is a convenience store and a vacant lot zoned CG1. To the south is a multifamily complex zoned RM1 and CN1. To the east is a bank and a church zoned CG2 General Commercial District and a single-family residence and a union hall zoned RS6 Single-Family 6 District and CG2 General Commercial District, respectively. The property is 3.29 acres in size and consists of multiple platted lots. Next slide, please. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan. Additionally, the proposed rezoning uses an approach to an adaptive reuse of a motel compatible with the adjoining commercial properties and does not have a negative impact on the surrounding area. The applicant intends to improve the property by renovating the former motel and creating a new social service facility that will replace the existing Good Samaritan facility on Alameda. Transitional housing facilities with sufficient organizational support can create a positive impact for the community. Next slide, please. 25 notices were mailed out within a 200-foot notification area. 3 were returned in opposition. 1 was returned in favor. The 3 in opposition are represented by 2 owners. The 3 in opposition also indicates that 2.5% of the landowners within the 200-foot notification area are opposed to this rezoning. Next slide, please. This is the proposed site plan. The former motel is approximately 41,000 square feet in size, and it will be used as an adaptive reuse for this social service facility. The Good Samaritan Mission will also construct a new 8,000 square foot cafeteria to serve the residents. That's the one in the dark gray, if you will. Next slide, please. Planning Commission and staff recommend approval with conditions. The special permit, the only uses authorized by the special permit, other than those uses permitted by the base zoning district, is a transitional housing facility, a social service operation to assist persons with their transition into permanent housing. No soup kitchens, no public feeding will be allowed. Number two, intake facilities. Adequate waiting areas are required so that there's not the perceived notion of loitering or people waiting outside, if you will. Number three, security. Transitional housing facilities located on the property shall be monitored by facility staff at all times. Four is landscaping. Landscaping requirements for the property will allow standard, will be as required for standard outlined in the UDC. And the timeline is our standard of 24 months that a building permit application needs to be submitted. Next slide, please. I'm sorry, I should say, staff and the Planning Commission recommend approval, and I stand by for any questions.
Are there any questions for staff?
Move to approve.
Wait. I asked for questions, not for a motion. Okay. We'll just hold off on that for a second. Okay, so now I'll open the public hearing. And do we have the applicant here? Oh, same guy.
It's been 5 years since I've done this, and it's a twofer in one day. But so hopefully for all of us, it'll be 5 more years before I come back. But I represent the Ed Rochelle Foundation and Good Samaritan in this. My name is John Bell, 13750 Primavera. And I just want to say this is the perfect location for this facility. The Good Samaritan Center has a specific niche in the homeless services population in Corpus Christi. It's not a soup kitchen. There's not in and out traffic off the street. This will be a secured facility. For a person who comes in, they get checked in, they get registered, they are searched, they become a resident, and they become part of a back-to-work program that tries to get them rehabilitated and to become productive members of society. They have a special program for people with disabilities in order to minister to their needs as well. But this will be a very secure facility. With me today, I have representatives of the Ed Rochelle Foundation. Taylor Hunt is here. Carol Murphy with the Good Samaritan Center is here as well. I call him, if you remember, the Hartford Elk was their commercial, you know. Standing behind me is Mark Schauer with the CCPD that works with Good Samaritan quite a bit and can answer any questions you might have about crime. This will actually benefit the neighborhood because they have such a strong working relationship in doing that. Jennifer Buxton with the city's homeless program is also here, has been very helpful in trying to pull this thing together, but it has been a community-wide effort in order to try and help the good folks at Good Sam further their ministry. If you've seen where they are now, they're packed in like sardines in a very small facility. This will let them grow and provide their services to people in a really top-notch, humane way that will benefit our community. We'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have, but perhaps that would be the best thing for us to do at this point. If you have any questions, we can respond.
You have quite a few questions. Mr. Molina.
Thank you, sir. A couple of questions. You mentioned this. Exactly how does Good Samaritan moving into the neighborhood, how does that benefit the neighborhood? And I'd also like to hear more about the work program that the Good Samaritan provides.
Well, let's see. Maybe Carol can help answer this question as well. But they, first and foremost, as part of the special permit, this will be a secure site. It'll be a fenced and gated site. And so when people come into the facility, they're checked in, they are registered, and there's not an in and out type of aspect to this at all. It's a more controlled environment because they're in a work program. They will go to work as part of their go back to work program. But when they come back in, then they're in their residential facility and training. The food service place that will be built next to it is going to be food service only for this facility. It will not have any customers from the street. It's not like it's not a soup kitchen. It's solely for providing food service because in the hotel, if you can imagine, it was designed for the little continental breakfast type thing, but didn't have adequate food service facilities for this group. But they have actually a very strict program that they operate at Good Sam in keeping their folks in residence, gainfully employed, or in training in what they're doing. And if they ever have a problem with that, they have a good working relationship with CCPD, and people are not released on the street. If there's somebody that needs to be released, generally they're going to wind up going into the custody of the city in another way. But they're not just going to be out on the street. So it should be improving this. There'll be a more active presence in that area that will help improve the neighborhood.
Yeah, because that building, the hotel, it was vacant for a while, was it?
Well, the previous owner was remodeling it, renovating it, getting ready to reinstitute it. I actually talked with the previous owner. He was about ready to get the hotel back online when we approached him for the purchase, but it has been out of operation for a while. But it's a good structure. It's going to require some renovation, but the main issue is putting in the food service facility as a separate building where the current motor bank was for the old International Bank of Commerce or Value Bank.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Pusley.
I'm sorry. Notice there's some additional buildings on this property. Are they going to be demolished? Is that the plan?
There's not a demolition plan at present. They're planning to build the dining facility and food service facility. The existing structures will be used for storage to serve it, but there's not a demolition plan at present.
Okay. And so the way I understand it, the dining hall is going to be built in front of what would have been the entrance to the existing hotel. Is that correct?
Correct. The entrance to the hotel with the little porte-cochere there will be right across from the dining area, which is kind of in the motor bank drive lanes from the old motor bank facility.
So, and this new construction will be similar to the facade of the existing hotel, or is it going to be a metal building, or what's the plans for that?
Taylor, you probably have the information on that. It's not a metal building. It's
Taylor, would you mind please coming up to the microphone?
Yep. The plans for the building are finished and ready to go. They can't issue a permit or accept a permit application until
the zoning is approved.
This is Taylor Hunt with the Edward Shell Foundation.
How you doing? Taylor Hunt, 522 Pierman. It is a pre-engineered metal building. It has a brick facade on the side facing the street of Nueces Bay Boulevard. And
yeah, I would just hope that we don't just throw up a metal building and that we get something that's going to be aesthetically pleasing to the surrounding area.
Okay.
And I agree with Mr. Bell. This is a perfect location for this. It gets it away from the downtown area where we've had a number of complaints about people hanging out around downtown waiting for, to be serviced in one way or another. But so I appreciate the project and wish you luck.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Mr. Bell, did I understand right that the Alameda facility will move over to this?
That's correct. They are bursting at the seams on Alameda, so it will be relocated to this facility.
And then I guess the Alameda facility, what's going to?
I'm not sure what their plans are for that.
Oh.
After they move to the new facility, the old facility will be torn down.
Okay. Thank you, Taylor. Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Mr. Lerma.
Don't go anywhere.
Thank you. My statement is, first of all, I want to thank the Rochelle Foundation for all the work you do here in Corpus Christi. It's greatly appreciated. you know, and to you, Mr. Bell, and Mr. Pusley, also, perfect location. I agree, but there's a lot of perfect locations throughout the whole city, okay? Let's just make sure we spread the wealth.
All right. Again, I'd like to reiterate the gratitude for the Rochelle Foundation. I know you don't ask for a lot of thanks or anything like that, but as just myself as a council member, I appreciate the work that you do. I truly do. It's God's work. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bell. Have any public comment from anybody outside the applicant? Going once, going twice. Okay. Ms. Huerta, do you have any written comments?
No, sir.
Okay. With that, I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Hunter.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. All right, next item. All right, individual consideration items, 15 through 17. Number 15, resolution to authorize a 5-year service agreement with WinCan LLC, doing business as Pipeline Analytics of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, for a total amount not to exceed $174,200 for the purchase of wastewater WinCam software and support for the utilities department.
Motion to approve.
But, okay, I do have some questions. Does anybody else have any questions? No? Just real quick question on this. I noticed on the agenda memo that this is a software purchase, but I didn't see Mr. Collins' name on the agenda memo. Is he, Mr. Collins, are you participating in this?
We did consult with them, sir, and this was back in the fall. We got their approval in November after conversations about what the program is and what it does.
Okay, so I just want to make sure anything that has to do with software that our IT department is intimately involved.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, all right, all right. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right,
Thank
next
you.
item. Ordinance awarding a construction to EMR Elevator, Inc., Corpus Christi, Texas, to upgrade the passenger elevator at the Art Museum of South Texas, located in Council District Number 1, in the amount of $228,050. Let me restate that again. $228,056.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Item number 17. Resolution authorizing service agreement with Pfeiffer & Son Ltd. of LaPorte, Texas, in the amount of $448,725 for the removal of the Harbor Bridge decorative light system.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't see a question from Mr. Smith.
Yeah, my question's, do we have a sharing arrangement in there? I know it mentions it in the memo, but could you?
Yes, Councilman Smith, I can go over that. So there's 3 parties that were involved in putting up the lights and maintaining them over the years, and there's 3 parties that are going to pay for the removal. So that includes the city of Corpus Christi, the Port Authority, or the Port of Corpus Christi, and then TxDOT. So the city is paying the full bill in cash, the $448. There'll be 2 in-kind contributions, one from the port of $150,000 and one from TxDOT of $150,000. So they'll provide us services, or in the case of the Port of Corpus Christi, they're going to give us a reduced cost for dredge material placement. We're working in the marina, as you know, we're replacing 33% of all the slips there, but we're going to dredge a lot of silt that's built up over the years. So the bill for the port to do that would be about $300,000. They're going to discount that by $150,000. So we'll save money on that operation there. And then TxDOT, similarly, they're going to do $150,000 worth of work on a TxDOT facility that we are responsible to maintain. And an example of that is Leopard Street. On portions of Leopard, there's an agreement that we maintain the street, even though it's a TxDOT facility. And so that's a good candidate project where they'll do $150,000 worth of street work, and we won't have to spend our street dollars to do that.
And the port's $150,000. I know we talked about it before, that this is just for the use of their dredge disposal site. It's kind of, they were charging full retail, I'm calling it that, so they're going to give us a discount. So it's no cash cost to the port.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, no cash outlay, but will give us that discount on what we would pay them to place the dredge material.
So we're still going to be writing a check to the Port of Corpus Christi for just using some of their area.
Yes. Yeah, we'll be writing a check for 50% of what we normally would had we not had this arrangement.
Okay. So in spite of the fact that they made $40 million last year, they can't write us a check for their portion of this. It has to come out of our city budget.
That's correct, Councilman.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Also, to that point, I had a conversation on this, that there will be some budget transfers in order to account for that from those various departments. I believe the marina as well as streets department, so that we're not just taking it out of IT, I believe is.
No,
where's
it's
it
coming
coming
the
from?
general fund. It's
General
coming-
fund.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I said I'll do this again. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Motion passes. Okay, Section R, appeal of a decision of the Building Standards Board. This was tabled and continued from 4/27/2021. So item number 18. This is a council action for three options: deny the appeal, sustain the appeal, or amend the board's decision. So this is a consideration of the appeal filed by Mrs. Raquel Ordonez of the Building Standards Board decision to require demolition of the substandard structure on the property located at 309 Hiawatha Street in Corpus Christi District 1. Okay, so if everybody recalls this, we gave the person an opportunity to come up with a plan to the city, and as I understand it, no plan was ever provided, nothing was actually done. So we'll go ahead and we'll follow the format for the, what is it, the Building Standards Board decision?
Yes, sir. It's the requester presentation of the appeal, so the requester would make a presentation. We'll have City Attorney Risley talk about that process.
The requester's been given the opportunity to come in. She is in California. She went back to California not long after that last meeting. See, she says now that we have received an email indicating that she's injured and she won't be able to come back into town until August. She has not provided a detailed plan or any to rehabilitate the area. As the pictures that I just handed out to you actually are the property today. So she did a little bit of work, kind of made the problem worse because she took some of the debris that was on the property and then moved it out to the right-of-way where it's going to sit for a while, impeding people from going by on the neighboring sidewalk. I'm told that when the building is demolished, that they will, part of the demolition requirements would be to pick up all the brush and debris in front as well. What you will also see in those pictures is that the grass in the back of the property that's visible from the right-of-way was never cut. It's 3 feet tall still. 30 days after that is last week and today, that's the condition of the building. The property remains in violation of multiple sections of the city code. The back taxes have not been paid, and from what we can see, there's not been an attempt to set up a payment plan. We are requesting, and I recommend that we approve the resolution affirming the Building Standards Board order.
So moved.
Ms. Huerta, to do a roll call, please.
for passage of Resolution 18. Council members Lerma,
Aye.
Martinez, Molina,
Aye.
Pesley, Smith, Barrera, Hernandez,
Aye.
Hunter,
Aye.
and Mayor Wajardo is absent. The resolution passes.
Thank you. Okay. See no other action, and we, just for our purposes, the executive session item number 20 has been pulled. There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.